And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the LiuLi Cup number 34, day number 2. I'm of course your live VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chat, and by my plushies as well. Welcome one and all to a continuation of a broadcast we did have just over a week ago. For those that are curious, for those who do not remember, for those who weren't here over a week ago, we were live casting day one. Day one of LiuLi Cup was casted live here on the channel, and day 2 was the day right after. But at the time, we were otherwise committed to another broadcast. It's not like we weren't, we were just casting, we were casting something else. So much casting, so much StarCraft. At the time, we were casting OSC King of the Hill, the 200th edition, the edition that was featuring 30 best of ones, 30 best of ones back to back to back to back. So alas, we were otherwise focusing and preoccupied and committed to that broadcast, so we could not cast day 2 live. So now we're here just over a week later, covering and catching up on what happened day 2. Let's go. Let us go. So we're here to catch up. Again, LiuLi Cup is it's a consistent event, but it's very irregular. At times it's a weekly, at times it's a monthly. You know, every now and then, whenever the organizers see fit, there is a LiuLi Cup. This is the first one of 2025, and we're here for the second half of the broadcast. So for those who were not here or maybe don't remember what happened in day 1, let's catch up. Let's catch up on the brackets. Let's catch up on those matches. Bam! Here we go. This was the brackets of LiuLi Cup 34. And day 1, we covered the entirety of the quarterfinals. We did cast every single series. Again, the VODs are on YouTube. The VODs are available as we speak. If you are interested, you can divulge, you can dive in. We did feature Zoun. Zoun took down Solar 2-0. Classic took down Gumiho 2-1. Shin took down Cure, and Rogue took down Byun. As a result, we have purely mirror matchups remaining. Now, the quarterfinals are best of 3s, but the semifinals are not best of 3s. They are best of 5s instead. So we have 2 best of 5s and a best of 7 grand finals, and we have confirmation because of the mirror matchups. Best of 7 grand finals will be a PVZ regardless of the score, regardless of the results, unless there's some kind of crazy off racing. But alas, that typically isn't the case here amongst these players, as we have our PvP between Zoun and Classic, and we have our ZVZ between Shin and Rogue. Here we go. So we have our 2 best of 5s ahead of us. So we're going to be covering our semifinals, then we'll be going on a short break, then we'll be jumping into the grand finals thereafter. When it comes to a future LiuLi Cup 35, we have yet to have confirmation as to the date, but we'll make sure we're there. We'll make sure we're there live to cover it at the time, assuming there's no other big cast commitment that we have at the time. Again, our schedule's quite full, and I mentioned before even that very often we're turning down events to cast because we have so much casting, and this was an example of that, where we weren't able to cover this live, but we're at least here covering it here and now. Let's go. Let us go, as we are catching up. And our first series here is going to be Classic versus Zoun. As we jump into game 1, game 1 is going to be on Abyssal Reef. We go kick things off with our PvP. Again, Zoun here has been on fire as of late, and I do give him a lot of credit, I do give him a lot of praise, but he is up against one of the other best Protoss players in South Korea. It's not going to be an easy one, as spawning in the top left-hand corner of Abyssal Reef, we have the blue Protoss player from South Korea. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Protoss, so the other South Korean Protoss, the red Protoss, it is Zoun. So we are going to be jumping on in. And again, thankfully, due to the fact that this is a longer series, the best of 5, we have less vetoes, and we're able to indulge and embrace Abyssal Reef. Abyssal Reef is a bit more of a rarer map nowadays. Again, we often see these older, larger maps vetoed. I'm referring to Abyssal Reef, Neon Violet Square, and King's Cove. They're often vetoed. We often do not feature them, but here in the best of 5, we have less vetoes. We can jump in here in game number 1. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen too many PvPs on this map. For those that are curious, this map is the second largest map in the map pool, second largest only to Neon Violet Square, has a very long rush distance by ground, and has a very defendable natural and third base. The reasoning for this is because of the very narrow ramp coming into the natural. Because of this, we often see a lot of economic builds making use of this and walling up and taking the natural base a little bit faster. We can see though that we do see Classic opening up, Zoun opening up 2 gates. Meanwhile, Classic gate into Cybergore. Classic here is going for the max opener. I do believe it is safe to do so on a larger map like Abyssal Reef. It's going to be on Zoun to attempt to punish this. So what's happening right now? Zoun, standard opener, 2 gates into a Cybercore, into his 2 units of choice, into a delayed expansion. Classic is going for a Stargate into a faster Nexus. So again, a bit of a greedier build here is making the Zealot first. The reasoning for the Zealot is this should be a pylon block. The Probe should be pylon blocking, and the Zealot is to deal with that pylon block. Speaking of, yep, Probe does dip back down and is getting ready to block that expansion. So the Zealot is required. Cybercore is done. Once it's done, we have the Stargate. Now, the goal of this Stargate is to get oracles across the map to counterattack, to harass, and to apply damage or to apply pressure and get some damage done in the mineral line to gain an economic lead. If Classic feels like there's an all-in coming his way, he can also use this for Void Ray production as well. So the Zealot is out, so the Probe is zoned away, and the expansion is soon to be taken. Meanwhile, Zoun, how do we approach this? How do we catch up? Double Stalker. Interesting. Double Stalker opener. With these 2 Stalkers, we can gain map control, we can move out across the map and apply a lot of pressure, and we don't go for a second and third Stalker. We skip the 2 units, and we go for, instead, a faster Stargate. Okay, couple of things. Zoun, he knows Classic went for a Stargate, and Classic, the Scout, is denied. The Scout is denied. Classic has no idea what's going on. Zoun, with this Stargate response, with the Stargate follow-up, we can open up Phoenix and try to shut down and hunt down this Oracle and make sure that it gets no damage whatsoever. So we should be seeing a Phoenix response here from Zoun. Likewise, an expansion is delayed. Adept attempts to shade in, but is denied. Classic is going to be forced back. Meanwhile, ooh, Classic going for the Void Ray. I believe there's no expansion, so he believes there's going to be an all-in. There's going to be aggression coming his way. So a very safe response here by Classic, going for that Void Ray. Meanwhile, Phoenixes are amassing. As we mentioned, the Phoenixes are on the way. The goal is to deal with that Oracle. Oracle already takes a lot of damage. Does sustain some hits. Zoun did hide a pylon. That's why Classic does overreact. And their shield batteries on the way. Stalkers, they have arrived. Phoenix pops out. Classic now confirms. Taking a lot of damage. Oracle does race back. Does get eyes on the reinforcements. And Zoun, he can't quite break through this. Not with that Void Ray. Ooh, as he will lose 1 Stalker. And Void Ray will shut him down. Likewise, Oracle shuts down the Adepts. And Zoun has yet... There we go. I was like, he's yet to expand. What's going on? There we go. Expansion is now on the way. But it is a late expansion. Right now, the pressure's on Zoun to get some damage done, and he did not catch the Oracle because of the Adept Scout. Remember, the Adept did get into the main base and did scout the Stargate. So Classic has been more conservative. He's getting to his own Phoenixes. He scouted well. He reacted. He responded. And now Classic enjoys a better economy. He's setting up, settling in. Making more probes. Both players locked into Phoenix production. I believe the Phoenix count, yes, is slightly in favor of Zoun. So Zoun has more Phoenixes. Classic throws down a second Stargate. We are entering Phoenix Wars. The problem here is that Zoun doesn't know. Like, Zoun, he doesn't know that we're getting into this. Not yet. So he's reinforcing. Oracle moves out. Zoun trying to force his way in. There are 2 stasis traps. Until Zoun notice. Shades into the main. Oh! Goes to the mineral line. Phoenix's A zone away. There are defensive Stalkers. Phoenix's A try to go for the Void Ray, but they take a bit of hit. They take a couple hits. Force back. Stasis goes off. Catches out all the Stalkers. Aye. Stalkers are shut down, and Classic is holding. Classic is holding on, he's shutting this down. Does lose 3 workers, but outside of that, he does sustain himself. Oracle into the main, goes for stasis. And Zoun does react in time. Ooh, still takes 4 workers. Still will take some damage. Orcus do get caught out. And all the Stalkers as well. Yeah, Zoun bleeding out too much here. Oracle finally goes down. But overall, Classic takes a lead. Classic, he has a better economy. He has a larger army. Remember, he's making 2 Phoenixes at a time. And now Classic is caught up and he can overwhelm. Zoun's in an awkward position here. Very awkward. Where he's down in workers, he's down in Phoenixes, he's now getting his own second Stargate. Is now on the way. He's now kicking into high gear. But just a really awkward setup here for Zoun. Classic, he's up 2 Phoenixes. 8 to 6. Dives in, Classic can take the fight. Stalker does complicate things. Oh. Classic, he doesn't commit. Doesn't quite commit yet. Zoun's still trying to catch up. Classic's built up to 10. He's up 3 Phoenixes. Catches out the Stalker. Stalker out of position. That's a brutal pickoff. And now he just commit. Yeah, he can overwhelm. Takes down Phoenixes one after the other. Stalkers are coming to support. And Zoun just kind of hold his own. Not like this. As Phoenix count is getting close, getting even. Stalker's not quite supporting, but GG gets called down. He's overwhelmed. He just cannot keep up with the Phoenixes, and Classic will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Zoun will take a lead, and again, a really, I would say, awkward game, or uncomfortable game, where initially, Classic, he opened up greedily. We had Zoun trying to sneak up and try to catch him off guard with Phoenixes, but then he got scouted. Classic, upon scouting, he was in full control. He fully walled up. Shield batteries, Void Ray, second Stargate, Mass Phoenix, threw down the stasis traps, and Classic took a lead from there. Zoun, he was trying to be more aggressive. He was trying to be cheeky himself and trying to catch Classic off guard, but in the end, the turns were tabled, and Classic just completely shut Zoun down. GG. GG, well played. Classic does take a lead, and oh, sorry, there we go. Classic does take a lead, and now we're getting to game number 2. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the red Protoss player leading the series 1-0. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player down in the series. We'll see if he can bounce back. It is Zoun. We go. So again, a very intense back and forth in game number 1, and we'll see how our players will approach this coming into game 2 as we are loading into Amygdala. Once again, another large map. Not as large, not as defendable as Abyssal Reef, but large nonetheless. And I wouldn't be surprised if Classic goes for the same build. Goes for a gate into Cybercore, into Faster Nexus, or into Stargate, then into Faster Nexus. Really, my eyes are going to be on Zoun. And already, you know, he had his own more unorthodox build or unorthodox response in the last game. We'll see if there's something more quirky here in game number 2. Or more standard. Eyes are on Zoun. For now, it looks like we do have a 2-gate opener out of our blue Protoss. Once again, 2-gate opener out of Zoun, 2 games in a row. Classic, as we mentioned, gate into Cybercore, into Tech. And Zoun does confirm. Confirms the missing second gateway. Here comes the Cybercore. Now it's on the way. Now on the way here. So now Zoun could be forced back. You see Classic attempting to expand, but he's making that first Zealot for that pylon, as we mentioned previously. Again, there should be a pylon block out of Zoun. The Zealot is here to stop that pylon block to allow Classic to expand, and Classic should be going for the Stargate. Ooh, as he does get the expansion. Not bad. Doesn't need the Stargate, it does get it down. Meanwhile, Classic, he canceled the Zealot just in time as well. Very impressive there. So Classic, he does save resources, he cancels the Zealot, he gets the expansion. Zoun was barely out of position, and with that, Classic takes an economic lead. So far, so good for Classic. Now, suddenly, the pressure is on Zoun to do some counter damage. Now, last game, he attempted to be cheeky and go Phoenixes. I don't see that happening or working again. Not here in Game 2 or even longer in this series. But now, 2 Stalker opener. Double Stalker. Double Stalker first into... I was going to say 3rd and 4th Stalker, but no, we are skipping our Stalkers. Zoun is going for a faster expansion. So, double Stalker into Nexus. Classic coming with Hallucination. Classic will confirm there's a base on the way. He knows he does not need Void Rays. He knows that he's not being all in. So Classic is safe and sound. Yes, there are 2 Stalkers moving out. That is true, but Classic, he should be able to maintain himself. He has a shield battery on the way. He has a force field. He has a Guardian shield as well. He's ready. He is ready here. And Zoun is attempting to contain. Likewise, that Stargate is almost done, and with this Stargate, we should be seeing an Orb. Again, there's no reason to make a Void Ray, not in this kind of game state. There's that Oracle in production. Meanwhile, Zoun, he is going for his own tech, going for a Twilight Council opener into Blink. Okay, my eyes are on Zoun. It is going to be Blink base play. Getting into Blink Stalkers. We are going to be settling in. Again, the pressure is still on Zoun to recover, to make up for his later expansion. With Blink Stalkers, he will gain map control, and he can, of course, counterattack thereafter. But until then, he's going to be stuck at home, and he has to keep up with the Oracles. And again, this is just a way for Classic to get further ahead. As he moves out with the first, and now he has a second Oracle on the way as well. First Oracle dips in. So far, Zoun is keeping up. Likewise, ooh, no shield battery in the main. Gets one. One probe goes down. Oracle gets a second, gets a third. 3 probe kills, not bad. 3 probes do fall. Oracle backs up, gets eyes on the 3rd base. This is going to be Zoun's recovery method here, is to get into a faster 3rd. But alas, losing out on more workers. It's going to be another 3 probes, 6 in total. 6 workers go down. Oracles, they back up. They can regather energy. They can recover shields. And Classic is going for a later expansion. Likewise, moving up with his ground army. I mean, he saw the 3rd. He wants to apply pressure. Wants to knock it down. That could be forced back by the army, by hallucinations. Ooh, Classic overextends. Takes a lot of hits. Oh no! Oh, there's no hiding here, and the Oracle does fall. Again, here on Amygdala, there's not enough space here to get away from those Stalkers. There's not enough dead space here in the corner. As he gets shut down. Still a better start for Classic, but now the 3rd base is done, and now Zoun can recover. Classic's own 3rd, still not yet complete. Still not yet complete. So Zoun, he can make 3 probes at a time. He can chrono. Meanwhile, Classic catching up with his own blink. You can see Zoun now switching into his own charge. It's a very gateway heavy composition. Blink Stalker into charge slot. Ooh, stasis does go off. But now we have a game. Now we have a back and forth. Again, Zoun is recovering. And Classic, ooh, he double expands. Okay, that I was not quite expecting here. Ooh, as the Oracle does fall. Once again, Classic gets caught out, so both Oracles get hunted down. Classic is being greedy here. We'll see if he gets away with it. Now, the problem here, I was going to say the problem is that Zoun is trapped at home and has been stuck defending the entire game, and there's a high chance that Classic gets away with this. But Zoun, he just sniped both Oracles, right? Both Oracles just went down, so now there's that much less to keep him pinned at home. Now I can move out. Yep, Prison's on the way. Gateway explosion. Stalkers a push. And we'll see what Zoun can get done. Now he pokes in at the same time. Tordeps, they shade in towards that natural. Tordeps, they can one-shot probes. They can and they will. Probes are falling. He gets 1, he gets 2. Almost up to 3. There's the recall, losing up to 4. Oh my god. This is getting out of hand. 5 probes go down, shading into the main as well, getting even more workers. And this should not have happened. 8. Up to 9? Oh my god, barely not. 8 workers go down for 2 adepts. A massive win here for Classic, and he gets away with the fast 4th. Remember, he double expanded. And now Classic is up 15 probes. And now he can focus on the army. Classic just has to calm down and defend. No shield batteries. No shield batteries at the 4th base. Zoun, he's pushing, he's committed. He lost far too much. Now it's go time. It's go time for Zoun. Going for Zealot run by. Pushing in into that 4th. Charge is not done for Classic. But he does have the upgrade lead. He has +1. This one is helping. The Immortal has arrived. Zoun still making his way across the map. So far, still punishing these slow lots. Stalkers, they dive in. They blink forward. Zealots are going down. Classic is gaining ground here. At the same time, Zealots have yet to really get into a mineral line. But they're on the way. And they're making the way in towards that 3rd. Probes are falling. But these Stalkers that they expose, they catch out the Immortal. Massive pickup. Immortal goes down. Still no shield battery. Second Immortal has arrived. Zoun, he's gaining ground. Here come those warp-ins. Here come the reinforcements. Zealots is still finally being cleaned up. Classic defends the 3rd, and now he's getting on top of those Stalkers. But still an awkward fight. Can't quite get on top of them. Ooh, the Immortal is gonna fall. Again, no shield battery. And Zoun looks like he can barely overwhelm this. Without any Immortals, he can and will overwhelm. Now catching up with the upgrades, he's got 1-1. He has a higher Stalker count. And with good uplink control, he should be able to break through this. Another Immortal has arrived, but he blinks on in. He dives just right away. Dives on the Immortal, brings it down. Zealots have arrived, and he does it. He breaks through. Classic just doesn't have enough. Down to a handful of Stalkers. And Zoun, he does it. And again, he was all in. Remember, Zoun, he lost a bunch of workers across the map. He did not replace them. GG gets called. And Zoun, he ties up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. Zoun does tie things up, and we have a series. We have a back and forth. Again, Classic, he was in a better economic game state for most of that game, but he needed more time to really make use of it. Unfortunately, he had no side defense either. I do think that was a bit of a misstep considering how far ahead he was economically. He was up like 15 plus probes. He could have invested into a greater defense, but maybe a bit of overconfidence there from the side of Classic. He was torn apart. He was broken with that GG. GG, well played. Also, I should emphasize, very nice force fields out of Zoun to be able to choke up the army, to be able to deal with a portion at a time. He had better concaves as a result, better engagements, and just outtraded Classic. Did outtrade him. And with that, we're tied up. We're tied up, and we're going into game number 3. As a reminder, this is a best of 5. Best of 5, so we have plenty more games ahead of us. Plenty more games to come. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of King's Cove, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, being forced into a tied series. We'll see if we can bring it back. It is Classic. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the red Protoss player, tying up the series, bringing it back. Momentum is on his side. It is Zoun. We're tied up. What did I just tune into? Oh no. No, it's okay. We like it. We like it, Einstein. We like it. We like it when they're tied up. Oh no. That's what we're here for, but what do you mean? What are you talking about? It's more exciting that way. Oh god. Oh no. Oh no. As from here, we're going to be opening up. Welcome one and all to King's Cove. King's Cove, another one of these larger maps in the map pool. Likewise, we do expect more economic builds. Classic, once again, Gate, Cyber, Expand, or I should say Gate, Cyber into Stargate into Expansion. So same opener time and time again out of Classic. Zoun, once again, 2 gates. We have the same dynamic where most likely Classic is going to have the better economy, and the pressure is going to be on Zoun to fight back. As there is that cyber core. Zoun is on patrol. His goal here is to make sure that that expansion is delayed for as long as possible. Ah, ahí está. It's true though, it's true. Tie them all up. As so far the probe is on patrol. Classic trying to zone him away. But this time Classic will have to finish that Zealot. Zealot does pop out. And from here, Classic, he does have enough of the expansion, and he will get it down. So, Gate Cyber into Nexus before Stargate, so a bit of a greedier build here from Classic. From the side of Zoun, he does open up, Stalker Adept instead. So, Stalker Adept. With this, he can move out across map, he can get some extra scouting information a little bit faster. Very middle of the road. And from here, going for his own expansion after the Stargate, though. Okay, Stargate opener first. Now, I am curious to see if Zoun opens up Phoenix. Again, as a reminder, he didn't see the timing of the expansion. There is a high chance that Classic opened up Stargate himself and is going Oracle like we've seen time and time again. So I wouldn't blame Zoun to go Phoenix, but Hallucination does scout. Hallucination does scout. So we have a Stargate response from Classic. Do we enter Phoenix Wars? Zoun, does he have the wherewithal to begin Phoenix's first? Adeptus in the shade. Oracle. It's going to be an Oracle opener here out of Zoun. Adept doesn't get in. Deny some mining. But does not get into the main base. Then again, Classic should be responding with Phoenixes. So Phoenixes are going to be on the way for Classic. He knows what's coming. And we'll see if this Oracle finds any damage. As Zoun, he's not going into more Phoenixes. It's going to be Oracle into Twilight Council into Blink Stalker. So we are not getting into Phoenix Wars. Oh! As looks like we did have a pause at one point. Everything's okay. Likewise, Oracle does move out. Again, shout out to those at Little Fairy that do organize this event. Big shout out. It's also why we were able to cast the Fairy Cup not too long ago either. Big shout out. So Oracle heads towards that main. Heads into the mineral line. Not bad. Gets a couple of workers. Zoun making his way into the main. Once again gets a third probe. But Phoenixes are revealed and the Oracle up. Ooh, doesn't recall in time. Oracle goes down. And Classic gains map control. As a reminder, Classic, remember, he saw the Stargate earlier. He made the decision to respond with his own to build up Phoenixes. And now he has gained map control. Zoun, he's trying to transition into his own Blink Stalkers. Blink is on the way. Stalkers are amassing. And without a high Phoenix count, I believe Zoun should be okay. He should be able to maintain his economy. Yeah. Just not enough Phoenixes this early on. So far Zoun, he's holding on. Likewise, fake Oracle across the map. Classic taking a third. And he will expand. Take the expansion. Likewise, going Phoenix into early Immortal production. Now, these Immortals are really necessary right now and really crucial for Classic. The reasoning for this, if you can tell, there's no Twilight Council. There is no Twilight Council, which means there's no Blink Stalkers. So Zoun, he's going to have a higher Stalker count. He's going to have a more mobile army as well. To make up for the Stalker deficit that Classic has, he needs those Immortals. As again, all it takes is a couple of Immortals to deal with a group of Stalkers. So less mobile, but Classic is going to be taking more defensive routes back at home. Likewise, going for his own Forge into +1. Phoenixes there gaining map control. They scout the third base. Classic knows that both players are expanding, so he knows he's safe. Zoun is trying to hunt down those Phoenixes. Does find them. Stalker going to go down. Zoun counterattack instead. He's spotted by the Observer. Classic sees. Classic is ready. He's got force fields, he's got immortals, soon to be a shield battery as well. Stalkers, they dive into the natural. Not bad, catching up some probes. 3, 4, 5 probes going down. Massive damage, 6 probes even. Oh my god. 6 workers do fall. There's the recall. It's down. Very nice damage. Gets away and doesn't lose a single stalker. And with that recall, he catches out the Phoenixes. Oh my, the 2 for 1. Phoenixes, they get caught. 2 of them go down. Classic falling apart a little bit here. Will lose his worker lead. Loses a lot of Phoenixes. And Zoun is switching up and going into charge. So again, very gateway-centric composition. Swarm toss, if you will. Mass Stalker, Mass Zealot. Into Archons. Classic, trying to meet up with him as well. Going for a very similar composition, except for a lower Stalker count and instead a higher Immortal count. That's where the big deviation is going to lie. And we'll see what else Zoun can accomplish. As a reminder, Zoun with all these Winged Stalkers, he does have map control. He can opt to try to poke into the natural, poking into the main base, delaying and denying the 4th base, containing Classic. As he attempts to contain, Classic does sneak out with a couple of adepts. Does sneak out, shades in, goes to the mineral line, until adepts say one-shot probes. And that's 3, that's 4, that's 5 workers already going. Oh my, this is getting out of hand. The slow lots, they're coming in. Slow lots trying to keep up. 8 probes do fall. Phoenix is into the main. Shiba is not ready. Oh, and Zoun, he's one instead falling apart here. He's getting torn apart back at home. 10 workers going down. And he gets a pylon, but that's not good enough. That's a playable Classic. Does get supply blocked. Another way in. Shades in for a second time. It's 12 workers in total. That's 12 probes for 2 adepts, by the way. Those are the same 2 adepts. They got out, they got back in. Crazy. Just like that, Classic is back in this. Now, Zoun, he's still maintaining map control, and this is the big advantage here of that, is that there's no 4th. Classic, there is no 4th base. He's still stuck on 3 bases. And Zoun will take a faster expansion, at least for the time being. Zoun, he rotates. Oh, okay, doesn't get a Stalker. Barely not. Classic now takes a 4th. It's going to be on Zoun to rotate and try to force a cancel. See if you can. Oh. Can so far. Classic keeping up. Does snipe the Observer. Oh, goes to the Phoenix. Gets one. Takes down one. Doesn't quite get the other. Zoun getting caught out. These are rough trades for Zoun. He's bleeding out Stalkers for Zealots. So much more efficient pickles here out of Classic. Zoun has to get the hell out of here. Has to respect those Zealots. And again, this is the power of the Zealot in PvP. This is why you typically force out Archons. Speaking of, Zoun has his own. Building up his Archon count. Force back. Classic does take a slight supply lead. But this still comes down to the engagement. Basically, when the armies clash, these Zealots have to be so careful not to just move in. If they do, these Archons are just going to one-shot them. The Archons, they do so much splash damage. You have to be so careful with how you engage, pulling them back, spreading them out. Likewise, it's going to be the role of these Immortals to focus down the Archons as quickly as possible to allow your Zealots to overwhelm. Oh, speaking of, Archon almost falls. When it comes to Zealot control, it applies to both players. Zealots, they do charge in. And the Archons, they move forward. And with this Classic, he will deal with the Zealots. Actually, no, never mind. They're getting some of the Immortals. The Immortals are exposed. And the Immortals are going down. They should be protected by the Archons, but alas, they get caught out. Yeah, Zoun, he breaks through. He breaks through the defensive line, takes down the Immortals, takes down the Archons, takes down everything. Yeah, better engage here from Zoun. Immortals exposed, and Zoun, he will overwhelm then and there. GG gets caught, and Zoun in one fell swoop takes a lead. GG. does take a lead in the series. Unfortunately, those Immortals that were completely exposed, they got surrounded. They were the first things to get surrounded by the Zealots, actually. The Archons, they were focusing towards the top side instead. We had just Archon versus Archon, and alas, without those Immortals, Classic, he had no backbone to his army. And with that, GG. GG, well played. Zoun does fight back. Again, very tense back and forth. Both players dealing quite a lot of economic damage throughout the course of that game, but it came down to that one big engage, that one big fight. And Zoun is now one game away from claiming the series. Classic has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. Let's go. As once again, a rare sight in PvP. Up next, we're loading into Neon Violet Square. The advantage of these best of fives. True. Let's go. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Neon Violet Square, we have the red Brodos player. The red Brodos down in the series. The pressure is on the S fight back here and now to force that ace match. It is a Classic. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the blue Protoss. We have the blue Protoss himself leading the series 2-1. He needs one more game to claim the series. It is Zoun. Go. Zoun just needs one more game. And welcome one and all to Neon Violet Square. Neon Violet Square being the largest map of the map pool. Because it's so large, we expect economic openers from not just Classic, I expect it from Zoun as well. We'll see. Oh, hello. As Zoun, I did notice his camera here yeah, I did notice the camera. Let's go. Zoun, he does deviate, does not go for the scout across the map. Zoun, he is on a mission for a proxy pylon. Let's go. Show us that pylon. What do you have for us? What do you got? Now, based on this location, this could be proxy. I was gonna say Stargate. Typically, proxy Stargate would be placed here, outside of the main. This could be a fake proxy or a proxy robo. What are we going for? Like, by ground, the rush distance isn't too far, so we could commit here into a robo to reinforce strike that natural. I can see a robo working, so we'll keep an eye on Zoun. But now, 2-gate opener out of Zoun. Classic going for a gate into Cybercore into expansion. Classic, again, he's going for the same opener every game in this series. It's been very trendy as of late from the Korean Protosses, but not Zoun. Clearly Zoun, he has not adopted this style, as that's going to be a Stargate before expansion. Now, the reasoning for this is a Classic. He sees that the pylon is missing. He's been counting pylons. He sees one. There should be two. There isn't. He knows that there's a proxy, and he doesn't know how committed it is. For all Classic knows, it could be a proxy Stargate, could be a fake proxy pylon, or it could be a proxy robo. We see one base all in. One base all in out of Zoun. Right now, the pressure's on Classic. You can see he's scouting. He's looking for the Stargate. So this is a common Stargate location, so he's checking. From here, he can go further towards the left-hand side, and likewise, he should be checking top right as well. And now he's searching for that pylon. Adept to the center. Alas, so far, Classic is in the dark. Doesn't know what's happening. Does open Oracle as well. Ooh, Phoenix? Okay, that I was not expecting. It's going to be a Phoenix opener here out of a Classic. It's a little bit indecisive. I don't know if you noticed. Classic went Oracle, and then Phoenix, and then Void Ray. He cycled through all three of them, and now he's settled in. And a Classic, he rescouts. He confirms there's still nothing in the main base. He does see a pylon, but no tech. Something is wrong. He's getting ready for the all-in. Shield batteries are on the way. He knows something is wrong. Adepts say threat in the shade. First Immortal has arrived, and we're going for a proxy gate as well to reinforce. And already Classic in trouble. Taking a lot of hits on that pylon. Pylon is exposed. Zell taking a lot of damage. Immortal is revealed, but here comes that Void Ray. Remember, we'll say Void Ray first. Second Void Ray is halfway done. The higher the Void Ray count, the stronger the defense is going to be for Classic. Throwing down the wall of shield batteries. Adepts say threat in the shade. There's still a wall. Classic is still solid. behind this prism has arrived. Now with this war prism, Zoun has defensive blink essentially, so he can pick up his units, he can shuffle them around, he can avoid shots, and he can reinforce. So Zoun has that much more micro potential. Pushing forward. Oh, almost does get the Stalker. Stalker goes down, massive pickup. Yeah, nice force fields, but the last of the army should be saved, and will be. So far, Zoun not losing a single unit. Yeah, he hasn't lost anything yet. The efficiency, the trades. So far, the control is solid, but he has to push into 3 shield batteries. There's 3 shield batteries ready. Now, Classic has to make sure he fights within range. Otherwise, what's the point? He goes down, does push in. Going for the pylon. Stalker under fire. Gets one. Takes down the pylon. A dead does fall. Well, the Stalker's taking a lot of hits. No Stalker's lost yet. Well, the shield virus does get depowered. The longer this goes on, the better it's going to be for Classic. He's up to 3 Void Rays, soon to be 4. That's a lot of Void Rays. A lot of Void Rays here for Classic. There we go, 4th Void Ray has arrived. Now he has to preserve those prismatic alignments. He doesn't want to waste them. Ideally, you want to try to stagger your prismatic alignments as well. I'm referring to activating 2 at a time. So 2 Void Rays at a time instead of all 4. Otherwise, if you activate all 4, then Zoun can just wait you out, wait for it to run out, and then push in. So it is important to stagger them. As we have a 5th Void Ray on the way. Rocks go down. Zoun going for a Twilight Council. Okay, is teching up here. Likewise, adepts into the main. Probes are going down. Gets 2. Gets 2 workers. Saves the adepts. Denies mining time. So to dive in. We have Blink on the way. This is such a late Blink here from Zoun. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely convinced. Still building on more Void Rays. I would love to see a Robo. I'm a little bit concerned for Classic, but a Robo here would be ideal to stop Void Ray production and incorporate Immortals instead. Immortals and like a second gateway. You typically want to stop Void Rays just because they're not ideal. Immortals are greater defensively. Army moves out. Are we going for a base straight? No shot. Classic. He abandons his natural. We're going across the map. He's crazy. Adepts say get in. Zoun didn't notice. Bear that in mind. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what's going on. And the base trade is about to kick off. Do we recall? Void Rays are about to reveal themselves. Zoun has to make a choice. What do we do? Do we recall? Do we commit? He commits. But this is late. This is a late commitment here. Meanwhile, Blink is still on the way. Is it going to finish? Void Rays, they bust in. They deny Blink. And Twilight Council's depowered. Zoun, late response, late reaction. He was out of position. The base is gonna fall. Will depower some of these Stargates. I mean, Classic can now recall if he so chose to. They're now killing everything in the main. On the force field. But there's no Blink. True. There is no Blink. There's no Blink Stalkers. Twilight Council goes down. There's that recall. Does recall back home. Zoun, can he take the fight? Boys are being pulled. Zoun, he commits. He gets 1. Takes out 1 Void Ray. There's 6 left. The probes are tanking a lot of hits. Down to 5. Classic, he's holding. He's shutting this down. GG gets called. Classic out positioning Zoun. And we're going to the ace match. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Zoun called completely with his pants down. He had no idea what was going on. He missed the entire army pushing right down mid, right down the center of the map. Zoun was completely out of position, and he was late to the base trade. He was late to the all-in. The last Classic was all over him, and with that, Classic forces the ace match. Let's go. One way or another, the game is about to end. We are loading into the final game of the series. We're loading into Ley Lines. Let's go. As spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss player, the red Protoss from the land of South Korea, tying up the series at 2-2. And momentum is on his side. Can he claim it? Can he advance on to the grand finals? It is a classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, the blue Protoss also from South Korea, being forced into the ace match. Can he bring it back? It is Zoun. Proper diamond attack. They were right all along, playing Void Rays from today. If you haven't been watching some pro StarCraft, Void Ray defensively is very common. It is the stock standard, especially when it comes to Classics opener. There's a reason why Stargate openers, or there's a reason why he goes Gate into Cybercore into Stargate, is for those Void Rays if he's being all in. That's kind of the big sticking point there, is that he only makes them if there's an all-in coming. As a reminder, Zoun did go for a proxy robo 1 base all-in, and that is where Void Rays do thrive. That is their niche in PvP. That is their role, I should say. So that's why Classic was forced into all those Void Rays. As time went on, it got better and better for Classic, and of course, as we were mentioning, Zoun, he missed the counterattack. He did miss the move out. And we're going for the same opener. So once again, Classic is going Gateway into Cybercore, into Stargate, into Expansion. And again, if he does feel threatened by an all-in, he will be making Void Rays, otherwise only Oracles into a standard game. So here we go. Really? Yes. Again, that's the purpose of the Stargate. That's why it's so. Well, that's why it can be so safe, just because it's a very versatile tech of choice, just to keep you safe. As Classic does get the expansion, nicely done. So with that, Classic, he's able to sneak down. The role of this probe was to pylon block, and Zoun, he failed to pylon block, so the expansion is thrown down, and Classic gets away with an even greedier build. So it feels bad for this probe. Wasn't quite able to pull it off. Classic does take an economic lead. Across the map, we have Zoun opening up 2 gates, and we'll see how he responds. See how he does respond. Here comes that hallucination scout across the map. The pressure is now on Zoun. Zoun is going for a later expansion, so Zoun is going to be behind economically. Here in this game state, the pressure is on Zoun to get damage done. So he's moving out. Zoun is moving out across the map as we speak. Right now, it's on Classic to be defensive. There's that shield battery on the way. Does need a little bit more time. Hallucination confirms that Zoun is expanding. So Classic confirms there's no 1 base all in. There's no proxy. Back at home, he's in position. Back at home is in position. Shield battery's almost done. Far hiding back against the army. Shield battery completes, and with that, Classic, he holds. Whew. Classic does hold on, going for another hallucination, trying to confirm the tech of choice from his opponents. We can see Classic going for a Twilight Council follow-up into Blink. Likewise, so is Zoun. So for the first time this series, both players are headed in the same direction early on. In other games, we've had Phoenix openers and Phoenix Wars and Oracle play. Immortal versus Blink Stalker. Not this time. This time Stalker versus Stalker. Okay. Let's confirm that, of course, there is saturation. We do see a Classic throws down 2 gates, so he's getting into a 3-gate setup. I believe Zoun is as well. Yep, 3rd gateway is on the way. So we got here in 2 different ways. Both players are working into 3-gate Blink, but what's important, look at the worker count. Classic does have a worker lead. The reason for this is the faster Nexus. So Classic still enjoys and maintains an advantage. Classic is ahead. Robo's on the way. This is going to be a Robo before the 3rd expansion. There are players that actually skip and delay their Robos. That is where DTs can end the game, but Classic's playing safe. He's playing safe. We'll have the Observer before taking that 3rd. Zoun is cutting corners. He's going for the 3rd base before the Robo. But I do believe that, Zoun, he should be cutting corners. Again, like, he's in a worse position, so he does need to expand as quickly as possible. So both players are expanding. Classic does get the safety observer. Again, did go Robo first. Zoun doesn't have detection. We, of course, know that there is no Dark Shrine from Classic. But this is the kind of game state where, I'm sure you've seen it before, DTs can sometimes walk in and end the game. If that was the case here, Zoun would be in trouble. It happens. Thankfully, we have Blink. Zoun ready for his own Adept Harass. And we are establishing our thirds. We can calm things down and get in towards that mid-game. Again, Classic still up 4 probes. There has been any harassment here from his opponent. Here comes the Gateway Explosion. Getting to charge. Now, similarly to on King's Cove, if you recall, this is going to come down to the eventual Charge or Archon composition and going to come down to the fight. Going to come down to the engagement and how our players position, how they engage with each other. We're building up to that. And I don't think we're going to really end the game anytime before that happens. Like, there's no incentive for either player to push out without charge, without +1, without those Archons. I should say there's no incentive. There's no incentive for Classic. There is for Zoun. Zoun, he still has to be active. Remember, he's still been behind the entire time. Only slightly, but, I mean, in a mirror matchup, that can be everything. So Zoun is poking out. Classic spots him. Classic is ready. Again, does have that observer. As Classic is distracted, we do see Adepts. They do shade into the mineral line. And they get in. They get 1. They get 1. They get 2. Almost 3. Not bad. 3 probe kills. 3 workers go down. Zoun is catching up. Classic is still mining more for longer. But nice pickoffs here. Getting another probe. Getting the pylon. Zoun pulls away. Nice move so far. Ooh. Leaves out a Stalker. Does without a Stalker, but so far well worth it for Zoun. 4th base on the way for Classic behind his army. And we're still waiting for that War Prism. Prism is on the way. We're waiting for those Zealot reinforcements. Classic is up an upgrade, but +1 is going to finish up in a couple of seconds for Zoun. He's not too far behind in that upgrade. Has either player thrown down a Templar Archives? The answer is no. Oh, it's way too soon. There it is. Templar Archives on the way for Classic. That's going to be for Archon production. Zoun has yet to throw down his own. Just now getting his 3rd base. Still no Archon play. Classic going for a Prism drop into the main. Going for a split push. I'll slip into the main base. Zoun doesn't spot this. He does react though. Does warp in. Warps in time. Takes down the Zealot. So far, does maintain the economy. He defends. Zoun, he deflects the drop. And he goes for his own Templar Archives. But he needs a little bit more time to warp in those Archons. And I'm a little bit concerned here that Classic is going to strike before we can really embrace those Archons here for Zoun. Classic's moving in. +2 is almost done for Classic. He's going to try to hit that timing. Here comes the first Archon. First Archon for Zoun. You have to dive in. Classic does go right down mid. He avoids the main army. Goes for the expansion, takes down the shield battery. Shield battery goes down. Massive pickup. Ooh, barely does fall. And he kites back. He's got the concave. And Zoun being forced to retreat. We have a massive warping coming in. Zoun, he just has the 1 Archon. The only one. And it might not be enough. Gets a couple of nice shots off. Go Classic with a whole position micro. Heads towards the mineral line. Does try to head in. Pulls back. Once again, diving with the main army. He wants that Archon. Doesn't quite get it though. Not quite. Nice force field. Zoun controlling well. Does force field, does take a bit of engagement, the base still goes down. And Classic, he can just commit in. He can break through, takes down the final Archon cells, so he can just wreak havoc. 14 probes go down. Classic backs off though. Does back off. Does back off. I mean, he's happy with what he got. He got a base, he got a mineral line. Classic takes the lead. And again, Zoun just needed more time. He needed a little bit more time for additional Archons. And you can see that Classic, he was ahead like 5 probes the entire game, and it just led into this, right? It led into faster +2, faster Archons, faster timing, faster saturation, or just slightly faster for Classic. Down does catch an Immortal, not bad. He's an Archon. And Zoun's he's all in. At this point, he's completely all in. He sends it, but he's gonna get surrounded. Zelzay collapse on the Immortals. GG gets called, and a Classic, he will claim this series at 3-2, advancing on to the finals. GG. GG, well played. Classic, he will claim the series, will advance on. Meanwhile, a shout out to Luis in the chat. Papi, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Bienvenidos. Thank you so much for the raid. Ojalá que todo te va bien. Hopefully everything is going well over in the land of Luis. Gracias, gracias. Thank you so much. And welcome one and all to the LiuLi Cup number 34. GG, as a Classic does claim the first series, does advance on to the finals. And the question becomes, who will join him in those finals? Again, when it comes to this final game, Classic, he did have a slight advantage throughout the entirety of the game. It was quite impressive. He had a better economic start, and we didn't really see Zoun actually recover economically for quite some time. It took quite some time for Zoun to get any counter damage. If you recall, it was at the 3rd base where he got 3 probe kills, but up until that point, Classic was enjoying just a better economy, faster robo, faster forge, faster upgrades, like everything was just slightly faster for Classic. And as a result, he was able to attack that 4th base or that 3rd base with a higher Archon count as well. We saw that Zoun, who was trying to hold on with just the 1 Archon. He was down in upgrades as well. He was barely struggling to keep up, and he was overwhelmed. GG. GG, well played. Again, in a mirror matchup, it can be really difficult to recover from a deficit. It can be just really difficult just because you have the same tools as your opponents, and it's, yeah, not easy to recover, to bounce back. Regardless, GG, congratulations. Shout out to Zoun for making it this far in the tournaments, but now we are getting ready for our next semifinals. Up next, we have a ZVZ between SHIN and Rogue. Let's go. Oh boy, I'm ready. I'm excited. Again, we don't really get to see much of Rogue anymore. Rogue, he is still an active player, but for those that are curious, Rogue, he doesn't really play in many open cups. He plays in the LiuLi League, but he doesn't really play in like the Woody TV Monday, or the Pigstore Monday, or Monday Night Weeklies, or Sparkling Tuna Cup, or Turtle Tussle. Like, it's almost exclusively a LiuLi Leagues. Like, Rogue, he's just not really an active player. He does play in some of these larger events, like these invitationals, like these show matches, Masters Coliseum, LiuLi Cup, the Woody TV February, the Pigsty Festival. Like, Rogue, he will play in these bigger events, but less so the smaller events. So because of that, I'm excited. We don't get to see him too much. I'm curious to see how he compares to SHIN. How does he compare? Now, the last time we saw Rogue, he played a ZVZ against Dark. I think that was in the KSL. It was either a ZVZ against Dark in a KSL, or maybe it was in an Elite League. It was one of the two. And Rogue, he had a really strong showing against Dark. I was very impressed in that ZVZ. I was very impressed. I do rate Dark's ZVZ quite highly, so I was very shocked to see Rogue bring him down with some very aggressive play. Actually, this is a rematch because now the memory, it's all coming back to me. Rogue did play against SHIN recently as well. I think it was also in a Elite League, and Rogue did actually defeat SHIN with more aggressive Ling styles, with muta play as well. It was just a really intense back and forth, and Rogue did get the better of it over SHIN. So I'm curious to see if SHIN can get his revenge. Can SHIN recover? As Rogue often has just really like, what's the word I'm looking for? Really intentional builds and really like intentional play in TVZ. It's very meticulous, very meticulous. I'm excited. Let's go. And again, for some greater context, Classic is waiting for the winner of this series in the finals. He is waiting for the winner. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Diamond Gladiators. It is SHIN. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Zerg player representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. We go. Do jump into our ZVZ. And we load into one of the larger maps in the map pool. Welcome on to Frostline. Frostline has a longer rush distance by ground. Likewise, the third bases and fourth bases are more exposed. But in the ZVZ, I don't really know how applicable that is. You could argue that in Roach versus Roach battles, your defensive position is a little bit weaker here on Frostline. I think I would agree with that, just because how large the ramp is. So the aggressing player can actually push their way up the ramp a lot easier and try to break the concave. So we might get there, but for the most part, I'm expecting Spire play, I'll be honest. Just because the last time we saw SHIN and Rogue play, I want to say they even both went Mutas and they both went Spire. We'll keep an eye on them though. So far, hatch gas pool, standard openers between our two players. Everything looking normal for the time being. Everything is looking normal. So when it comes to the main points of deviation, we are looking to see if either player doesn't take their third on time. So we're looking for third bases. We're also checking to see if either player does skip their Baneliness at the natural, and likewise any early Evo chamber, any early gases. But now Rogue he pulls out. Likewise, so Rogue does, SHIN does not. Interesting. Rogue does earlier on. Wait, where are we going? What's happening? You have piqued my interest. So Rogue, he did actually delay his gas income a little bit longer here. Are we going for a proxy? No shot. Are we going for a proxy hatchery, or like it has to be proxy hatchery, right? What's happening? Yeah, he's hiding his Roach Warren. So what I mean by that, this hatchery is going to be canceled. You can cancel the hatchery. You can build a building here on that creep. It's got to be the Roach Warren, right? Question mark? It's not just gonna be a random hatchery, and there's no lair, so it can't be a Spire. Okay, this is what I meant at the start of the series, and I was like, Rogue is really meticulous and really intentional with his builds in ZVZ. This is what I feel very validated right now. But this is what I mean. Like, Rogue ZVZ is so interesting. Will is the link in the center. This has to be a cancel, right? Link speed is on the way. Is he gonna let it finish? Are we gonna let it finish just for extra larva to reinforce across the map for an all-in? For a link flood? No shot. Okay, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. He's gonna let it finish. Now, he's gonna let it finish. Why is he gonna let it finish? It's a link flood. This is a link flood here out of Rogue. Now, what's important, I mentioned earlier when it comes to the signs that we're looking for, Rogue never took a third. He never took a third base. SHIN knows this, and because of this, it looks like Rogue is going 2-base Roach. That's what he's faking right now. He's faking 2-base play instead of expanding. Really, Rogue hides a Baneliness because he's going for a Bane Bust. He is hiding his tech. He's hiding the extra hatchery for extra larva. He's going for a link flood. And the correct thing for SHIN to do, as he's actually link flooding to counter. Let's go. SHIN is going for his counter link flood. Can he break Rogue before he can really get this build going? Can he deny him? They have a secondary wall behind this. Lings, they do flood in. They're going for the Roach Warren. Roach Warren is under fire. SHIN, he's not droning. He's not droning. He's just mass link flooding instead. SHIN, he's going to try to kill Rogue before he can. He's not even going to know what he's doing. Rogue, he's crazy. Roach Warren goes down. Wall is open. Lings, they flood in. They're going to surround. And the wall is open. Alas, the Queens do barely hold on. Rogue, he survives. And little does SHIN know, there's a Baneliness behind this. SHIN, he has no idea. This is not good enough. There's not good enough damage. Now, SHIN, because he killed the Roach Warren, he thinks he's safe. And he's droning. SHIN, he's droning up. He's in danger. Oh, he sees the Banelings. Oh, big scout. How did I find this? Oh my god. Banelings get found. Queen gets surrounded. Oh my god. Some of the Banelings do complete. Oh, bit of miscontrol of the Rogue. Does beat out a Baneling. Hatchery gets found. And SHIN, he will knock it down. He'll knock down the expansion. Here comes our Link Bane all in out of Rogue. But he's losing too many Banelings. Down to 2. 2 Banelings left. And he's got more on the way. And the Baneling just finished here for SHIN. Oh my god. Another Baneling falls. Rogue has been too wasteful. SHIN, he's completely shutting this down. Getting on top of the expansion. Getting his own Banelings. Good response here by SHIN. Again, SHIN, he had no idea what his opponent was doing when he link flooded, but it worked out very well for him. Still very tense. Banelings are done. Oh no! Ooh, massive connection. Good connections here for Rogue. Oh, waste a Baneling towards the end. Every Baneling is so precious. Better connection here. It's very hit and miss. Very hit and miss here for Rogue. Has to be so careful. Down to 0 Banelings. Trying to bait them out. Oh my god. He gets 1. He gets 2. He's going to get 3. Oh, there are too many Banelings. There are too many Banelings. SHIN, he's holding on. He's holding. He survives. I say that. Jesus, there's 6 more Banelings behind this. 6 more Banelings waddling in. Moving into it at a time. Oh. And he will look to trade. Better trade. Oh, back and forth. Lings, they flood in. They rush past. They rush into the main base, but there's still 2 Banelings remaining. And SHIN, he should be able to deal with this. And as a reminder, SHIN, he has a higher drone count. Meanwhile, Rogue, he's flooding across the map. Surrounds the Queen. Just around the Queen. Connects to the mineral line. Only 1 Baneling, though. 1 Baneling is not enough. Drones, they survive. SHIN, he's barely holding on. Oh, waste the Baneling, though. Does waste the Baneling. But time is on his side. And he barely denies the Baneling. Barely does deny. And with that, SHIN, he's fine. With that, SHIN, he defends. He defends. He forces back the Lings. There's nothing really threatening him. We have a couple of Banelings still in the way. Rogue, he's still completely all in. He still has a chance. If he can connect. But he has to rely on SHIN making mistakes. And SHIN, he's not going to make them. Oh my god. A better trade for Rogue. Was a better trade, but GG gets called. SHIN, he holds the line, and SHIN takes game number 1. Whew, GG. GG, well played. That was a beautiful game. That was beautiful. I loved it. GG, well played. Again, as a reminder, Rogue, he was faking 2 base Roach. Instead, he was going for a Ling Bane bust. That's why he hid the Baneling behind his base. That's why he went for the proxy hatchery. But what he wasn't expecting and what he wasn't ready for is that SHIN's response to 2 base Roach, which he believed it was to Ling Flood, to try to kill his opponent before he could really get into Roaches and snipe that Roach Warren. In doing so, he did force Rogue to kind of show his hand a little bit. He did, Rogue did reveal Ling Speed. Ling Speed is not something that you invest into if you're playing 2 base Roach. Likewise, SHIN, he was able to buy time, able to get a surround of the Queens. He scouted the proxy, and SHIN handled it beautifully. GG. GG, well played. He did handle it very, very well. Whew. Now we're getting into game number 2. And I'm ready. I'm ready for some more ZVZ. Ah, give, baby, give. So loading into Amygdala. Now, I don't expect to see that build again in this series, but I do expect some more quirky styles, some more big brain plays, if you will. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, leading the series 1-0, representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Blue Zerg player, also from the land of South Korea, representing Team Falcons. It is Rogue. Okay, let him cook. Let him cook, man. Okay, we're loading into Amygdala. Amygdala is a larger map, short rush distance by air. Ooh. Hello. That's a 14 pool. Good to see you. Get that. Sorry, 12 pool even. So we do have a 12 pool opener out of SHIN. Now, this looks like an economic 12 pool, like 12 pool into hatchery, setting out links across the map. There are all-in variations. You can go 12 pool drone pool, but a 12 pool drone pool on Amygdala sounds crazy. I can see the rationale. So, okay, this Overlord. Typically, this Overlord Scout is designed to see the Lings as well as they move out across the map, but specifically on this map, the close rush distance by air doesn't see anything because this entire area is walled off by rocks. So as Lings move out, I believe this Overlord will miss the Lings. Specifically on this map. The second Overlord does move out towards the top side, so he will scout the northern attack path, but we'll see if SHIN can hide the Lings here from that first Overlord. As Lings are on the way, Overlord is found. He knows. He sees where it is. Shin, he does spot the Overlord. Yeah, and he does avoid it. So he avoids the first Overlord. But can he avoid the second? As Shin is getting a gas and he's droning. So again, this is not an all-in, but it is a cheeky start and a cheeky build. And he will be seen. He will be found. Yeah, Rogue with a second Overlord. He does confirm. Behind this, he should not be losing any drones. And he's going for a fast Evo chamber. Ooh, this looks like +1 melee. This looks like a Link Flood. So my apologies, did miss this. Basically, you get melee first, and then you get link speed. You delay link speed in favor of melee because melee takes longer to build. Ooh, catches the links. Not bad. But basically, you get melee first, yep, then link speed, and it's lined up. Link speed and melee, they finish at the same time. Meanwhile, we do see Shin catching lings. Boys have to be pulled. And Rogue ideally wants to line this up. Yeah, Queen pops out, and Shin defends. Sorry, Rogue defense. Now, what's important here is that Shin, he gets deflected, and Shin does not scout the main. He doesn't see the main base. He does not see the link flood that's coming. Ay. Likewise, as a reminder, Shin, because it was a 12 pull, he has a late gas. Late gases means late link speed. So there's going to be a window in time where Rogue has link speed and +1 melee, and Shin is going to have slow links. He's going to have slow links as a response. But now Shin is being forced back. Back at home, just struggling up, building up himself. Now, because Shin knows that his link speed is late, he should be walling off on 2 bases. Yep, speaking of, and he should be playing 2 base Roach. So 2 base Roach here from Shin should be the go-to. As there's that Roach Warren. Again, the reason why Shin has to stay on 2 bases is because he knows that he's behind for link speed. So he cannot actually expand. If he tries to expand, he's just going to be overwhelmed. So Shin, he has to stay on 2 bases. Rogue, Lair? He's going 2 base Muta. Okay, sure. So he's not link flooding anymore. He's still going to let +1 melee finish, but he's going for a second gas geyser into Lair, into, I'm assuming this is going to be 2 base Muta. This is too much gas to go into like a Drop Lord play or something like that. Yeah, 2 base Muta. So he's taking more gases, is going to Muta play. Meanwhile, Shin, he's going to preserve himself on 2 bases himself, getting to his own lair. And once this lair finishes for Shin, he needs to Overseer scout. Once he scouts with the Overseer, then he should confirm the Spire. And then he can respond with his own Spire or with a Hydrogen. So we're waiting for that lair to finish. He's getting into his own melee. This melee upgrade tells us that Shin also wants to play Muta. So we're getting Muta versus Muta. I mean, that's where we're headed, at least for now. Lings, they attempt to flood in. Shin going for his own Lings. Taking all of his gases. Yep, and you can see Spire versus Spire. Muta versus Muta. They didn't even scout each other. Let's go. Let's go. But again, that was the melee upgrade. Now, I love this from Shin. He's showing Roach speed, so he's trying to fake out that he's not making mutas, because otherwise you would not research this upgrade. Meanwhile, there's no Overseer scouts. Bear that in mind. I mean, there is one from Rogue, so Rogue, he should confirm. He gets eyes to the main, he sees the lair, and it looks like Rogue, he will confirm the natural. So that Overseer scout that we mentioned that was important for Shin, Rogue does it. Shin does not. Shin, he's missing his Overseer. This is greedy. This is greedy from Shin. Basically, Shin is saying, I'm going to preserve my gas, I'm going to cut corners, and I don't care what you're doing. But he should care. Like, he should care, Pappy. Link speed isn't done. Gets caught out for a moment. +2 melee on the way for Rogue. Now, Shin, if he clicks on these links, he knows +1 melee is done. He knows about +1 melee, so he knows that this should be Muta. So even though Shin didn't scout, clicking on these links is enough. So Shin knows. And he starts +1 air attack. So fire attack is what you want if you know, or if you feel like you're going to go into Muta versus Muta. It feels like you have the Muta lead. Rogue, he has yet to begin his own mutas. Leagues are to engage +1 melee here over his opponents. But with the help of the queens, Shin, he's holding. Whew, he does hold on. He shuts down the Lings. Where are the mutas? Pappy, what's going on? There we go. We have some mutas on the way. But Rogue, he spends so much of his minerals on Lings. He barely has any mutas. Yeah, he's got a handful of them, but despite Rogue going for the Spire first, SHIN, he has the muta advantage, takes down the Overlords one after the other, and SHIN, he has control of this game. He has control of this game. He didn't even care what Rogue was up to initially, but he will take down every single one of these Overlords. The mutas are now popping out, but they're getting caught as they pop. They're getting caught out. GG gets called. There is no response here from Rogue, and SHIN, he will take a 2-0 lead. GG. Whew. GG, well played. You know what this series makes me miss? This series just makes me miss casting ZVZs. For those that don't, for those that weren't here for it, ZVZ used to be the most common matchup on this channel because we used to cover a lot of regional events. We used to cast a lot of Latin American events and a lot of Oceanic events. And in Southeast Asia, Oceania, Zerg was the prominent race. Like players like Miyamaika, Go Joey, they would play so often. And in Latin America, it'd be like Cham, Eric, the Zerg Lord, Jim Rising, Jaime, Ryu, a lot of ZVZs in both those regions. So we cast a lot of ZVZs because of that. Nowadays, those two regions are much smaller. They've shrunk over time, and we don't cast any of those local regionals anymore, like the weeklies, because they don't exist. And nowadays it's been all about PvP, to be honest. Like, we've been casting so much PvP. This makes me miss this matchup. It's like I want to cast Ender again, Bappy. I want to cast Miyamaika. With that, GG will play. SHIN takes the lead, and now we're jumping into game number 3. We'll see if Rogue can bounce back. Let's go. Let us go. Remember ZVZ Duckling Open? Yeah, I remember. The good old days. Every week we cast like Mio versus Joey, and then like Cham versus Eric, or like Jaime versus Ryu on a regular basis. Regardless, here we go. We're getting into our potentially final game of the series, by the way. It's been an intense one so far. A lot of twists, a lot of turns, and this player here is leading the series 2-0. We have our South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Gaiman Gladiators, one game away from claiming the series. It is SHIN. F for the Zerg Muta, true. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the, oh my god, we have the South Korean Zerg. He's going for 13-12. He's crazy. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg for Team Falcons. He's down, but he's not out. He's tenacious, he's crazy. He's Rogue. Here we go. 13-12 with an, sorry, 12-11? No. Yes, 12-11 with the expansion. Okay. This is interesting. So typically with a 13-12, you can't afford a base, and you go for a Baneling Nest, and you go for a Ling Flood with Banelings. Here, going for the hatchery, I mean, it's interesting. It does mean you have more larvae to work with. He pulls out. Okay. This explains it. No Baneling Nest. So we're rushing to fast Ling speed, but no Baneling. So this is going to be a Ling Flood out of Rogue. He's going to have extra larvae here with this hatchery, and SHIN back at home goes Hatch Gas Pool. Standard opener out of SHIN. He has yet to determine what's going on. He has his first Overlord moving out, but I believe the Overlord will miss the Lings. Yeah, the Overlord does miss the Lings. And Rogue, he's making more. Remember, Ling speed is on the way. There's going to be a big timing where Rogue has Ling speed over his opponent. He's making nothing but Lings. And that's the purpose of this hatchery as well. And what's scary is that SHIN, this hatchery looks normal. Like, he's going to scout the natural. He's going to see the hatchery. It's like, oh, you expanded. It's a regular build. And we even, oh, let's go. He transfers the drones. He's making it look like he's crazy. Let's go. He's making it look like he's droning. He's deceiving SHIN. The deception is real. It's fake, Papi. It's fake. It's a 12-11. Let's go. As Lings are hiding off towards the left-hand side. Now SHIN, he is making his safety queens. He's droning. If SHIN doesn't make any Lings, he's going to be in trouble. He has a handful on the way. And Rogue, he's getting ready for his moment. He's getting ready for Ling speed as he's banking up Lings. And he will soon pull the trigger. You can see SHIN trying to scout, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Does dip in. Now he knows. Now he sees. Now he sees all the Lings. Back at him. He needs to wall off. He's trying to wall off. The queen has arrived. Can he wall in time? No, he cannot. No, the Lings, they flood in. They get all Sudus around. Oh, barely holding on though. Barely holding on. The queens are low. Shin should not move out. He should not move out like this. Oh no! And he's gonna get surrounded. Lings, they overwhelmed. They shut down the Lings. They shut down the queens as well. And Shin, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be game. He's gonna lose everything. But the queens have been found. The pants are down, Bobby. They're all the way down. He wasn't ready. Had no idea what was happening. The Bailey Nest is on the way, but it's not going to finish in time. And we do see Rogue overwhelming. He does overwhelm. Takes control of the natural. If he wants to, he can go for the Bailey Nest. For now, going for the expansion. I mean, he can go for anything he wants. There we go. Yeah, he's going for the nest. Make sure there's no way for Shin to recover. The nest is getting low. Does he morph into Bailey? He does, just in time. Whew. 2 Bailings do morph in. Shin, can he buy time? Can he buy time for the Bailings? Up! Can he do it? So far, he's trading. Bleeds out his Lings. Barely holding on. He has a better economy. Wow, and Shin, he holds on. The Bailings complete, and Shin, he will take the series 3-0. GG. Whew. Oh my god. GG, well played. Shin, he will take the series 3-0. Again, time was on Shin's side because Shin had the better economy, and he of course had his 2 bases. He was producing more Lings. He barely morphed in those Bailings in time towards the end. And if you notice, I will say that it did feel like Rogue was a little bit indecisive. After he broke into the natural, if you recall, if you remember, it almost looked like he was like a kid in a candy store and he didn't know what to do. He was like, I'm in. What now? like, do I go for the Bailey Nest? Do I go for the expansion? Do I go up the ramp into the main? Like, if you recall, there were like 5 seconds of indecision where he was kind of going for one, then the other, and then he wasn't really too certain. Eventually, he settled on the Bailey Nest, but it gave time, precious time for Shin to build up Lings, and to build the defense, and to buy time, and to eventually master that defense. GG? GG, well played. Whew. Oh my god. Crazy series. like ramen, like lights in a ramen store. I didn't know what to do with myself, Papi. I was overwhelmed. It's too much ramen, too much. GG well played. Shin, he will take it. But a shout out to Rogue, because even though Shin does take the series, Rogue had some really interesting and really quirky builds, and for the most part they were working. The problem is that Shin is an animal as well. Like I'll be honest, looking at this series, if Rogue was up against Serral, for example, I think Rogue wins. 100%. Because Shin, he was scouting, he was like seeing certain tells, but like he was ignoring them in a way, and he was just he was reacting with aggression more often than not. Like, I mainly brought back to Frost Sign. Remember, on Frost Sign, what happened? Rogue, he faked 2-base Roach, and Shin's response was to Ling Flood, right? Like that. Like Serral doesn't do that. Rainer doesn't do that. Like the European Zergs, that's not their response to 2-base Roach, but that's Shin's response, and that actually punished Rogue in the end. Whereas typically, to react to that, you would just drone, you'd be greedy, you'd get your own Roach Warren, right? You'd have a more macro-oriented response instead. Is kind of like the go-to, is the meta, is the typical response. The response that Rogue was relying on. That's the thing here. Like Rogue, he excels when his opponent responds normally, but Shin's not normal. he's an animal, Papi. Oh my god. GG, well played. With that, congratulations. Shin will claim the series, and with that, we have our grand finals ready for us. Let's go. We have our grand finals. Let's switch the scenes over and catch up on the bracket. Or, for example, like the other one, Game 2 on Amygdala, Rogue, he opened up Ling Flood, and then he transitioned into 2-base Muta, and Shin, if you remember, he went 2-base Roach into 2-base Muta. He didn't even scout. He didn't even overseer scout, didn't Link scout either, didn't care what his opponent was doing. He just went 2-base Muta anyway, and he beat Rogue to 2-base Muta, which was crazy. So, like, again, just really chaotic responses out of Shin, and GG well played. With that, we have our finals. You can see the bracket has been progressing. Shin takes down Rogue 3-0. Classic takes down Zoun 3-2. Was a close one. Was a close and clutch series. But that leads us here into our grand finals. It's going to be a PvZ between Shin and Classic. And as a reminder, this is going to be a best of 7, not a best of 5. It is going to be a best of 7 between the two. And we are going to be going on a short break. We're going to be going on a break. We are nearing the end of the broadcast, the final series here of the night. So we do need some time to rest, to recover, to recuperate. And We'll be back soon. So take this time to get some snacks, get some food, get some water, drain your disruptors, massage your marines, hydrate all your hydras, tuck in your tempest, and cuddle your colossus, because we're going to be back soon with the 7 finals. See you guys in a couple of minutes. See you soon. Oh. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the grand finals of the LiuLi Cup 34, day number 2. Again, we were live with day 1 just over a week ago. Now we're here to wrap up the event, to wrap up the LiuLi Cup. Let us go. As we just did cover the semifinals, again, we have our top 2 players, CranKy and SHIN. They've been working through this bracket. They've been hard at work here, and we have our best of 7 ready for us. Let's jump right into this. Again, best of 7, ZVP, SHIN versus CranKy. Let's go. Game 1 is going to be on Ultra Love. Now, as a result, they each get 1 veto, and all the other maps, they're all available. Let's go. We're not holding back. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ultra Love, we have our South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss. It is CranKy. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player from South Korea representing Gaming Gladiators. It is SHIN. And both players just went through intense mirror matchups. SHIN with a very short mirror matchup, I will say, against Rogue, but it was very dynamic nonetheless. Likewise, CranKy just had a back and forth clutch series against Zoun, and now they're here against each other in a very different matchup instead, in a PvZ. Now, coming into this, CranKy is very mid-game oriented, very much so. He'd be quite diverse in his builds, I will say that at least. He's not as aggressive as Hero, but can still go for 3-base all-ins at times, can still go for proxies at times, or I should say even earlier Twilight Councils and earlier Forges. So we'll keep an eye on CranKy. Also, if he sees an opportunity, he will rush into Sky Toss, more so than Hero. He is willing to embrace that kind of style. Meanwhile, likewise, SHIN also, likewise, very mid-game oriented. We've seen a lot of aggressive plays, a lot of 3-base all-ins, 2.5-base all-ins, especially on smaller maps. Here we're loading into Ultra Love. Ultra Love is going to be an interesting one. It is a small map, that is true. We have seen quite a lot of successful Queen Walks and German taxis across the map. That has occurred in the past. But what I will say is that even though the map is small, we've seen a lot of defenses here because of the defensive features of the map. The ramp coming into the natural, the choke point coming to the third, the destructible tower as well. There's a lot here that does benefit a player being the defender on Ultra Love, more so than on ley lines, more so than on Whispers of Gold. So we actually see a surprising amount of late game on Ultra Love as a result, especially in the other matchups. A little bit less so ZVP, but I think that's also because we often see this map vetoed. So we'll keep an eye on our players. So far, SHIN investing into earlier and more lings as well. We have 6 lings on the way. I would imagine the goal for SHIN is to try to sneak around the map and get across the map here with his lings. Potentially even get on top of the pylon. We'll see. Ooh, speaking of aggression though, CranKy, he will open up with a Twilight Council, not a Stargate. Now with this, I think we can go a couple of different ways. This can be a DT-based opener, this can be 4-gate glaives. We'll keep an eye on the gases, we'll see if CranKy does pull out or if he stays in. If he pulls out, it should be 4-gate glaives. If he stays in, it should be Dark Templar. Of course, there are other more niche variations. Lings, as we mentioned, they're skirting around the edge of the map. Their goal here is to try to get into that natural. Adept is out of vision of the Overlord. Barely is. Adept does shade across the map. Lings are going for the pylon. They're going straight for that natural. Alas, CranKy unable to wall off. Oh, it does go for the probes instead. It gets a free scout. Yeah, 2 lings at the natural, 2 lings at the main. There's that robot response. It looks like CranKy does pull out of gas. Is going for glaives. And again, SHIN gets a full scout of the main. For the most part. He does see his Twilight Council. He knows. Does know what's going on, sees the additional gateways. As Ling is going to be hunted down. Doesn't really get any economic damage. Looking at the trades here, he got 1 probe, but there are those glaives. Ooh, he pulls back in. Interesting. So this should be 4-gate glaive adepts, but we're pulling back into gas, which means we can afford extra gateways. Do we go for extra gateways or a dark shrine? We can go for one or the other. Oh, no, okay, never mind. he pulls back out. He pulls back out to just 4-gate glaives. Now, this is not an all-in. Behind this, we should be expanding and getting into immortal production and taking a 3rd base. Meanwhile, SHIN back at home, Roachwarren. Roachwarren's on the way. Remember, he saw everything he needed to. He knows how to respond. He should be getting ready for SimCity to wall off this natural base. As he's building up his lings, building up his roaches, he's cutting workers at 38. And here comes that War Prism. Prism is moving out. who has more adepts to reinforce. That has to move in. SHIN massing up more Ling Roach. It looks like SHIN is not going to be walling. Feels confident he can keep up. I mean, again, it wasn't earlier scouts. Roaches, they have to be careful to overextend. That's going to be a lot of adepts. Ravages are on the way. Roaches, they kite back. Lings, they're keeping up with the adepts, and we should not commit. Classic still looking for a way in. Prism towards the main base. The queens do respond. They do react. Once again, more adepts. Warpin does complete. Classic going for a split push. Classic has yet to expand. Not yet. Goes to the mineral line. Goes to the main. Oh my god. Takes a lot of hits. It's going to be forced back. Being forced out of the main. Is forced out. Immortal production has begun. Classic getting ready for the expansion. There's the third base. On a surround. Oh, it gets a full surround. Blast connect as well. Massive pickoffs. And SHIN, he will shut Classic down. Adepts, they still throwing the bases. But so far, this is not good enough damage. Classic is in trouble. Classic tries to expand, but Lings, they counterattack. They counterattack, they force a cancel. Classic is contained. The Adepts ideally wins to buy time. And they are killing some drones. True. It's going to be 6 dead workers. Shading to the main base, getting another drone. But SHIN, here comes that counterattack. There are sentries, there are immortals. And he's forcing a 2-base all in. Here come the gateways. Yeah, from initially 4 gate glaives, now up to 8 gates on 2 bases. And again, Classic, if you saw, he wanted to expand, he was trying to, but upon losing all those adepts, he cannot. He cannot expand, he has to all in. And he's setting up for a soul train. Immortals, sentries, adepts to reinforce. Killing more drones, not bad. Does get 5 more drone kills. This is getting out of hand. Roach is not keeping up. The Lings, they do get surround though. Where are the piles? I might not need it though. Yeah, Lings, they shut down the sentries, they shut down the immortals. Classic gets caught with his pants down. Massive pickup. And no shield battery. GG gets called. We are not ready in the natural. And SHIN, he will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. SHIN, he will take a lead in the series. Again, Classic, unfortunately, early on, he got scattered immediately. Lings, they sipped into the main base, they scattered and confirmed the Twilight Council. As a result, SHIN, he was more than ready for those adepts, and Classic got surrounded. He got surrounded out on the map. Upon that, he had to go for the 2-base all-in, but even then, Classic was just a little bit too confident, a little bit too cavalier. He moved out ahead of time with his immortals. He got surrounded. The all-in never came into play. Never came into play. SHIN snowballs out of control, and with that, SHIN takes the lead. But now we're jumping to game number 2. We'll see if Classic can bounce back as we are loading into Abyssal Reef. Another one of these larger maps. Second largest map of the map pool. See how our players will approach this. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Abyssal Reef, we have the red Protoss player from South Korea down in the series, but it's a best of 7. We have plenty of games ahead of us, plenty more games to come. It is Classic. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player, the blue Zerg from South Korea representing Gaming Gladiators. It is SHIN. We go. Classic does move out. SHIN going pool first. Interesting. That's going to be a spawning pool before the expansion. And where are we going? What's going on? SHIN, he does go around the left-hand side. It does go towards the low ground. The probe not able to block. And SHIN is going for the natural. At least try out. Okay, he comes in from behind. Really nice movement here out of SHIN. The probe moves out of position. And SHIN can now expand on location without too much issue. So pool into hatchery. Now with this earlier spawning pool, this isn't for an all-in or anything like that. He can make earlier lings to threaten his opponent, but shouldn't really commit too hard here. Like maybe 4 lings, 6 at most. as it will pull into hatchery into gas geyser. And there it is, just 2. So 2 Lings on the way, just to zone away that probe. And now we can settle in. This is still an inefficient start out of SHIN, but at least he gets his base on location. So it should be a slightly easier defense. As a Classic across the map, just going for his own gate expand into Cybercore. Standard opener here out of Classic. Standard start. And these Lings, they shouldn't get anything done. They can maybe scout, true. They can try to come in from a different angle and try to scout Classic. Outside of that, just checking the fringe areas of the map and going for a third. So a relatively passive start to the game. Again, SHIN forced to have an inefficient start, but outside of that, we're just droning, just saturating. We have our Stargate opener out of Classic. Classic, he popped off last game with the Twilight Council. This time, Stargate into Oracle, into a third base. And we should be seeing normal openers here just because of the map itself. Welcome one and all to Abyssal Reef. Abyssal Reef is known for being one of the most defensive and macro maps in the map pool, as your natural, your third, your fourth, your fifth base all are very defendable. It is much easier on this map than almost any other map out there to get up to a 5-base economy and to max out on late game. On Sky Toss is what I was going to say. So it is a little bit easier to be defensive against Sky Toss here on Abyssal Reef. The reason for this is because the natural, it's a narrow choke point, so it's easy to wall off, easy to defend. Likewise, the third base location is difficult to push into because there's a ramp on the right-hand side, which is more out of the way. And here towards the left, you have to knock down these rocks. You have to snake around this ramp as well. It's just really awkward to engage at the third or at the natural. Likewise, the third naturally goes into the fourth base. The fifth is right next to the fourth as well. All these bases are very centralized. They're all very centralized, very, very close to each other, very nearby, and easy to rotate between the bases. So we often see a lot of late game on Abyssal Reef as a result. Now, despite that, there are some ways you can approach this in a more aggressive manner. We could see SHIN cutting corners, droning up, and going into muta play. True, like mutas are viable here on these larger maps, like your Amygdalas, your King's Cove, your Abyssal Reef. So there is still value in Classic scouting and making sure he's aware of what SHIN is up to, because muta play is an option. Otherwise, SHIN could just cut corners, be greedy, drone up, take more bases, and get into lurker play a little bit faster. We'll keep an eye on SHIN. As the Oracle gets 3 drones, not bad. 3 workers go down, second Oracle's on the way. Second Oracle is moving out. So far, Classic just keeping a SHIN pinned behind this, getting his third base up and running, does warp in some adepts to defend. SHIN moves in to try to delay the third if at all possible, and he might be able to. Adepts, they're about to shade away. Out with the Oracle. The Oracle's here just in time. Lings are forced back. We do have our follow-up here. It's going to be Forge and Twilight Council. Standard follow-up. This looks like +1 in Blink. So standard follow-up out of Classic. Likewise, SHIN, safety Roach Warren. Also go for the Roach Warren. Droning, taking gases. Both players headed towards that mid game. Oh, stasis into the main. So far we do react in time. Classic gets forced back. Likewise, someone said triple adep. And we have 6 adepts threatening a shade, and they don't quite commit. Just a 9 creep. Creep is being denied. Forcing out more Lings, headed towards the mineral line. Can he get in? Not quite. It's going to be locked down. Shades into the main. Does get into the mineral line. Drone's going to be falling. No target firing though. So far, SHIN, he does keep up. He does save his workers and he defends. Oh my god, I spoke too soon. Stasis goes off and gets half the mineral line. Very nicely done here by Classic, considering Classic doesn't lose an Oracle. The Oracles, they do escape. They do pull away. They head towards that third. Queens are out of position. And they will get 2-3 drone kills. Just barely. 3 more drones go down. They scout the fourth. They deny mining time. And Classic gets away. And we spoke, I mean, again, good thing we brought it up at the start of the game. We spoke about it. Mutas. Spire has been thrown down. Now, I say we brought it up at the start of the game. Again, this is a common response and a common style here on Abyssal Reef. SHIN is also quite fond of it as well. I would bring this up on Abyssal Reef and on King's Cove from the side of SHIN. So he's going roaches into mutas. Now, this shouldn't be mass muta. The reason why this shouldn't be mass muta is because we're investing into the roach upgrades. This should just be enough mutas to harass. I'm saying maybe 12 mutas at most. At most. Get into 6 to 12 mutas, harass across the map, and then focus on building up your roach ravager instead to survive any kind of ground-based counter attack. So this is not mass muta, or at least it shouldn't be. And we'll see if SHIN can keep this hidden and keep this safe. For now, he is going to be applying pressure, keeping tabs on Classic. Classic behind this, getting into Blink, getting to his own Storm. And just to confirm that this shouldn't be mass muta, Hydrogen on the way as well. So again, it should just be mutas as a stepping stone to get ahead in this game, to get economic damage done. Then to take further in towards Hydras and Lurkers. Speaking of 6 mutas on the way, 6 mutas, that is the bare minimum. That is enough to one-shot a probe. So you can one-shot workers with 6 mutas. Rocks are being knocked down. Classic, he gets eyes on the main army, he's being distracted. He will reinforce, warping in. Storm is not yet complete. SHIN pushing forward. Oh. Threatening his opponents. Forcing out more side defense. Cannons, shield batteries. Mutas on the way. Up. Move on to the stasis. Stasis does go up. Does get a portion of the mineral line. Likewise, second stasis doesn't quite connect. Mutas, they do get across the map. And there's nothing to defend. No cannons, no shield batteries, no nothing. Probes are going to be going down. Ooh. So far, 3 workers do fall. Late reaction though out of SHIN. Stalkers, they do pull away in time. And SHIN has to get the hell out of here. He has to pull away. But he's keeping Classic busy. And back at home, here come those Hydras. Now, Classic, he responds with a second Stargate. That's a very strong response here by Classic, which is better for SHIN. SHIN, he wants Classic to overreact. As here comes that Roach Hydra army. Does go for the dive. Storm is done, though. Classic, he's holding, he's defending. We spoke about this, again, like, these bases are so centralized, and really we can only push in, or I should say, SHIN can only push in towards this forward fourth. And we have cannons, we have shield batteries, mutas, they dive on top of the High Templar. They get one. One High Templar goes down for 6 mutas. Ay. That's an expensive trade here for SHIN. And he wants another High Templar. He wants it. Gets 1, gets 2. Oh my god, he gets 3 in total. Takes down 4, down to 2 more High Templar. Storms are popping up. There's 1 Storm left. 1 Storm remaining for Classic. Classic holds. He's holding, what do we see? Oh, that was a brutal blink. Bit of miscontrol. Stalkers get shut down. Fleet beacons on the way. That should be for Sky Toss. Should be for Mothership into Carrier. SHIN, he's not gaining any ground. Moving in on the right. Storm is still available though. And so far Classic, he defends well. Did lose some workers to the mutas, but outside of that, he is stopping the Roach Hydra. SHIN just doesn't find a way in. Behind this, now taking up into lurkers, but he invested so heavily into this aggression. Again, this slowed down his economy. He's only got 72 workers. He's not at 4-base saturation, not yet. Likewise, his upgrades are lacking. He never started +2. And this was designed to kill. And he needs more. He needs more damage. Carriers are on the way. SHIN, he's about to be outscaled. Again, the soup does lie. Like, SHIN, he's up in supply, but it's mainly Roach. It's mainly Roach here. It's not a very efficient army. You can see he cannot fight this head on. SHIN, oh, the Hive is late. Just now starting. I assumed it was done, I'll be honest. Storms, they pop up. Lurkers, they do get in between the bases. This is it. This is SHIN's moment. Does focus on the High Templar, tries to at least. That's the final Storm. Carriers have arrived, and with the help of these carriers, Classic, he will completely shut this down. Cleans up all the roaches, the lurkers. There's no escaping this. Stalkers, they collapse in. And we're down to 3 lurkers. Down to 3, down to 1. Oh, where's detection? Oh no, no detection. The 1 lurker. Free damage. No, he misses. Does miss a revelation. But regardless, Classic he can move out. Can try to move out. He still wants that lurker though. Feels revelation, man. As we have to wait a little bit longer, pylons are falling. Regardless, this is still a better trade here for Classic. There it is, the final revelation. Behind this building are more carriers, Cybercores being rebuilt, more cannons. Classic just trying to spend his money. Now, because he lost his Cybercore, he actually can't really counterattack yet. He has to wait for reinforcements, and Shin has time to rebuild. Shin, he's somewhat droning, getting up to 76 workers, so he made 4 extra drones, taking more bases, more gases. Now he finally begins +2. Again, the reason why +2 is so late is because Shin was basically all in earlier. He was basically all in with his Roach Hydra, and that's why Shin is falling behind. Like, that's why everything is late. The Hive is late, the Lurker upgrades, the +2, the expansion, the droning. So Shin is in a worse position. He's not out of this yet, though. He can try to catch Classic out of position. Can go for another expansion. What Shin can't do, though, is fight head-on. That's not going to work out well for him. And the problem here is the map, right? I mentioned this before. The 5 base setup is really secure, and what are we getting? A 5th base. So I don't see Shin really breaking any of these bases anytime soon. He shouldn't be able to. Now, the 6th base is more exposed. Whether it's this northern base or the base on the left-hand side is more vulnerable. That is true. So when Classic tries to take a 6th base, then Shin can try to punish that. But by then, I mean, Classic, he's already maxed. He's already maxed out. He's already reached his final form. Or at least he's getting there. Mothership is on the way. And this is going to be a tough hold for Shin. As Shin just now droning up to 80. He has 10 drones on the way. Just as Classic moves out. Shin's running down as many spores as he can. That's why he had to drone as well, to afford all of this. Spores aren't ready. They're going to be targeted down. Classic does have the Spire, of course. Sorry, Shin has the Spire, of course. Getting to +1. And Classic, he blinks in. A bit of a bold move, blinking forward. Yeah, Stalkers are exposed, have to blink back. You have to respect the Hydras. Do rotate. Catching out more of these spores. The Lurker is revealed. We get a decent concave here. Oh, but we have to avoid their storms. Storms is zone away once again. 2 zone away, 11 more drone kills. Shin is trying to buy time here for his corruptors. Classic rotating once again. Oh no! Classic gets caught out. He loses 1. 1 carrier falls. Nice pickup. Yeah, that should not have happened. Classic, he bleeds out a carrier. He pulls away. At this point, there is such a thing as too many carriers. I would not be opposed to seeing a couple of Tempests sprinkled in towards the end. For now. He's coming to his carrier. Or even, like, 2 less carriers and more Archons instead. You can see he's killing his own High Templar. Sorry, he's killing his own Stalkers for more Archons. As you mentioned, like, a late game with Skytoss army isn't just purely Skytoss. You need those Archons and Storm to support those carriers. Otherwise, the carriers, they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable on their own. So Classic refining his army. Honestly, he could do with just killing all of his Stalkers and replacing them all with Archons. He does get behind the mineral line. Mothership, ooh, is caught out. Mothership being too cheeky. Nice abductions. Does get 1, does get 2 carrier. Yeah, the rally runs into the army. Miscontrol here from Classic. Rallying in his reinforcements, losing out on what? 3 carriers. Classic catching him off guard. Meanwhile, oh my god, workers are falling. Storm zone away. And now the Classic can focus on the main fight. He does out-trade his opponent. Brutal Storm. With that, he eviscerated the economy. SHIN is down to 45 workers. Barely has any income. And Classic just has to play it safe. Just play it slow, play it safe, back up, go back to your reinforcements, go back to your shield batteries, to your cannons. Ooh, storms, they pop up. Templar going down. Now there's no more storms, only 2 Archons, and they rally in. They rally into the lurkers. And with that, Classic can take this fight. He's going for the carrier. He's going for the carriers. He gets 1, he gets 2. And it looks like he barely has enough. Yeah, Classic gets caught completely out in the open, and he will lose everything. All the carriers will fall. And GG gets called. Whew, SHIN, he catches the army. He was completely all in, and SHIN will take a 2-0 lead. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Again, Classic, he played that out very well, but there were 2 crucial mistakes. One, he threw away 3 carriers. It was either 3 or 4, but he rallied his carriers, his reinforcements into the Corruptor, so he just threw away supply for free. And likewise, towards the end there, he did stick around a little bit too long. He overextended. He had to make his way back towards his bases. He got caught out in the open, out on the map, and SHIN got the best fight he could hope for. He collapsed on every single carrier, on every single Archon as well, with his lurkers. GG. GG, well played. Classic with some miscontrol towards the end, and with that, SHIN will take it. Bearing in mind, SHIN, he had no bank, and he had 40 drones. Like, he was completely all in. He was completely all in, but he found the fight. With that, GG. GG, well played. We're now getting into our next game. That was an early GG. That was not an early GG, as again the soup was kind of lying there. The supply was deceptively close. If you recall, a lot of that supply was in army for SHIN and mainly probe and worker for Classic. And unfortunately, the way that Skytoss works, when you lose a Skytoss army, it takes a long time to rebuild. So he could not actually create any. He would have to like reinforce with like Stalker Zealot. That's what he would have to rely upon. Oh. But here we go. We're getting into our next game. We're getting into our next setup here, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss. Down in the series, we'll see if he mounts back. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Blue Zerg player. We have the South Korean Zerg representing Gaming Gladiators, leading the series 2-0. It is SHIN. Classic will give up 2 bases. That is assuming that SHIN takes his time. I'm under the assumption that SHIN wins that fight and then goes straight for the main. But you are correct. If SHIN makes a mistake, and if SHIN takes his time going through bases and goes through like the 6th base and then goes up to like the 4th base and the 5th base as well, if there's no urgency in SHIN's movement, then maybe Classic can warp in at home and can hold on. But I do think that relies heavily on SHIN taking his time and SHIN making mistakes. But yes, like there is an avenue there where if SHIN doesn't like have that urgency to keep pushing, then Classic can buy time to like muster up a gateway army, or maybe like an extra wave of carrier. That's true. That's true. From here though, we're getting into our next game, getting into game number 3. And we'll see if Classic can recover. And again, Classic played that out really well, to be honest. Like, Classic, he was ahead in that game for almost the entire game on Abyssal Reef. We spoke about how SHIN, he failed the all-in. His economy was being crippled. Like, overall, Classic was playing really well. Just some major mistakes towards the end. And sometimes 1 or 2 can cost you a game. We'll see how our players do settle in. Whew, okay, now we're loading into ley lines. Ley lines, as opposed to Abyssal Reef, is more open. It's more open. There are more avenues of attack. You can rotate between the bases. You can strike the northern base, the southern base. This map is a little bit more open here and less defendable. Because of that, I would expect a different style out of Classic. And if Shin were to be aggressive again, I would favor that a little bit more. Again, Shin's aggression failed on Abyssal Reef, but it can be more successful here on ley lines. Go. As a Classic is opening up Stargate. Stargate opening into Oracle. Adept will shade in. Oh, gets surrounded though. Yeah, rough shade here for Classic. We'll lose the Adept. And behind this, just a standard opener. Hatch gas pool out of Shin. Again, Classic, just Stargate into a third base. Everything's looking normal so far. My eyes, I feel like I'm mainly going to be on Shin to see if he once again is aggressive. I don't see Muta play working here. I mean, even in the last game, like the Mutas weren't really too effective. But on some of these smaller maps, it can be more difficult to get away with Mutas. We'll see if Shin goes for an early Evo Chamber. If he goes early Evo Chamber, that's a sign of plus on melee. That's a sign of Ling Hydra. Otherwise, he could throw down a safety Roach Warren and go Roaches instead. So we'll see what tech structure Shin goes for. Until then, Oracle dips in. That's a lot of Lings on the way. So Shin investing quite a bit into those Lings. We'll lose the drone. And there it is. We do have the Evo Chamber. So this should be plus on melee. Evo Chamber gets thrown down. It's hidden behind the natural. This should be melee. And that means that Shin should be skipping his Roaches. Oh, as he will lose 5, 6. Oh my god. 7 drones go down. Brutal losses there for... Oh my god. Brutal losses for Shin. The Oracle does get surrounded though. Classic here overextends. So a bit of a back and forth trade. Shin moves out with those Lings, but there are deaths back at home. Shin gonna be forced back. There's that plus on melee that we did mention. We have 14 more Lings on the way. 14 more Lings. Shin, he should have enough, but did lose a lot of drones already. He needs to re-drone. He needs to resaturate. So far, trying to keep up. There's that lair. Again, this is kind of like the first signs of Ling Hydra. Technically, Shin could go Ling Muta. That is true, but it's really risky. Really risky going Ling Muta here. I don't know if Shin is one to take that risk. Not going to be zoned away. Going for the Bailey Nest. Again, it's like an alternate answer here to Roaches. Alternate tech path. And now getting across the map, keeping Classic busy. Now, if we were casting Dark, upon seeing this kind of setup here, I would assume this would lead into a lair into an Infestation Pit, which would be a sign of Ling Bane into Ultra. This is something that Dark does enjoy, but Shin isn't really one to play that style too often. So that's why I'm leaning more towards Hydras, but we'll see what tech gets thrown down. Meanwhile, Classic back at home, going plus on and Blink into his splash damage of choice. Not Colossus, going into Storm. There's that Temple Archives. And again, Storm play has been very trendy as of late, especially with the change to the energy overcharge. Classic pushing through the center, taking 4th base behind this. And Shin is going Hydra. Slings, they hit the expansion. They do distract Classic, forcing him back home. Blink is not done. Oh, and he gets a full surround. He gets a full surround of these Stalkers, forces the recall. Oh my god, and only 2 Stalkers survive. Ay, ay, ay. That should not have happened. It wouldn't have happened if the Adepts were with the Stalkers. They'll force back home. Meanwhile, those 2 Stalkers that survived, not for much longer. Stalkers go down. Shin rallying over towards that expansion of the wall. Oh my god, the wall is wide open. Hero? Hero! Not like this. Lings, they flood into the main base. Probes are falling, and unlike Hero, Classic is losing workers, losing a lot of probes. Oh my god. Okay, 9 probes, 10 probes going down in the main. Life has more Lings amassing. Hydra's on the way. Shin has momentum. Momentum is on his side. And where does he strike? Where does he go from here? Waiting for his upgrades, waiting for Hydra speed. Classic is stuck at home. Storm is about to finish, true. Storm is finishing up. That's going to be ideal against all things Zerg, against Lings, Banes, and Hydras. But will he have enough Storms? He has 3 High Templar, each with at least 1. So 3 Storms. Oh, there's the NG overcharge. And more High Templar, more fit. That's a lot of High Templar. Bailings, they try to head towards the base, but the cannon does scout. Laying Hydra towards the 3rd. Bailings from behind. Collapse again. Oh no! Oh my god, massive connections, massive connections. 3 High Templar go down. Oh my god, almost all of them. 1 High Templar left. So every single High Templar goes down. 0 Storms. Oh my god. 0 Storms. No, GG. And Shin, he will take game number 3. Oh my god, that should not have happened. We had so much potential for Storm. We had 6 High Templar. That was crazy. That was crazy. GG, well played. Shin, he will take a 3-0 lead in our best of 7 finals. And the pressure is on Classic. The pressure is on. Again, he did have the tools to defend, but so much went wrong in that game. If you remember, he was being active with those Stalkers, and unfortunately, because the Link counterattack, the Adepts abandoned the Stalkers. The Oracles also abandoned the Stalkers, and then Shin got a full surround. Likewise, we saw how open ley lines is and how that can impact a defense, where Shin, he attacked from like 3 different angles, like from 3 different sides, as opposed to Abyssal Reef, where you only focus on one, right? You only focus on one angle or one angle of attack. Here on ley lines, came in from behind as well, collapsed on the High Templar, and there was just no escape. There was just no way for the High Templar to survive that. And GG, well played with that. Shin does take a 3-0 lead. We'll see if Classic can bounce back, because the pressure is on, and we are loading into another larger map. We're loading into Neon Violet Square. Now, loading into Neon Violet Square, based on what happened on Abyssal Reef, I do favor Classic. I do favor Classic here. Again, like, to reiterate, Classic played out Abyssal Reef so well. It was just the very end where he did stumble, and if we can replicate that and tighten things up when it comes to that late game army control and the late game movements as well, then I do favor our Protoss coming into a longer and larger game. But here we go. The pressure is still on, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Neon Violet Square, we have the red Protoss player from South Korea down in the series. The pressure is on. He has to fight back here and now to make a series out of this. It is Classic. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Diamond Gladiators, 1 game away from claiming the entire series. It is Shin. We go. Shin opening up hatch first. Likewise, Classic going gate expand. And welcome to Neon Violet Square. Honestly, this is a very rare map to cast on. I'm sure you're aware, watching other online events and other tournaments and other matches between players, this map is the most vetoed map in the map pool. You don't get much more veto than Neon Violet Square, so it's a rare sight. It's a rare sight, but because we're in a best of 7, less vetoes. Less vetoes are available, and this map didn't make it through the veto process. So I'm happy to see a ZVP on this map for the first time in quite some time. It's been a while. And when it comes to the features of this map, it's quite defendable on 4 bases. I should say on 5 bases, kind of. Abyssal Reef, you can secure yourself on 5 bases quite easily. Here, it's 4.5, where you have your natural, you have your 3rd base, you have your 4th base, and you have a pocket 5th base as well. So you have 5 bases technically, but this pocket base is, it doesn't have as many resources, so it's a little bit less valuable. So you don't have as many quote-unquote like secure bases as you would on Abyssal Reef. But to make up for that, the map is larger, of course, and also this pocket base is almost a free base. You can take this as a 3rd, you can take it as a 4th, a 5th. Whenever you do take it, it is very safe and very secure. So you can cut corners and be quite greedy when it comes to expanding. Likewise, there's also the gold. The gold base is available, and that is also a factor, especially depending on who gains map control. Whether it's Shin or Classic, this gold base can factor in. The timing though. Hello drone. Speaking of gold bases, where are we going? Oh, he's trying to hide it. He's trying to hide the drone from the probe. Probe does go back in for a rescout. The drone avoids the scout. Does double back. Let's go. We're going for the gold. Shin, cheeky moves here. He's rushing into the gold base, making sure he goes by unscouted. And the gold is being taken. Okay. Let's go. Let him cook, Pappy. Let him cook. Now, it's going to be on Classic to confirm this. And thankfully, Classic, he's on the way. And Classic, he will... He shaded. Oh, no. Classic, he will not confirm. It looks like that shade was a mistake as he's going back out. So it's going to be a later scout for Classic. But he is checking. He's going to check nonetheless. It's going to be a Void Ray first. Interesting. Void Ray open out to Classic. There we go. Adept does reconfirm. Does rescouts. There we go. Gets eyes on the gold. And it's going to be on Classic to punish that gold base. And he needs to. Does need to punish. See if he can. Now the Void Ray, the goal here is to hunt down the Overlords and to deny vision here from Shin. We have an Overlord here outside of the main. Likewise, an Overlord here outside of the natural. Scouts are moving forward. Void Ray is revealed. Ooh, and that is a Twilight Council before expansion. This looks like Glaives. This looks like Glaive Adepts. There is the third, but really early tech. And the Overlord will confirm. A big scout here from Shin. As he comes in, he confirms the Twilight Council sees no forge. Massive scout. Now, this could be one of two things. Either Glaive Adepts, or if this was Hero, I would assume this is going to be Blink into an 8-gate setup into a 3-base all-in. Hero's quite fond of early Blink, and there we go. Classic as well. So very early Blink Stalkers. Now, with this, you can be aggressive earlier on, as you do have an earlier Blink timing, so you can poke in, you can apply pressure, and you can try to break this third base earlier than normal. We'll also see if Classic takes the gases. If he avoids these gases, he could just go for a 3-base all-in. Over 4 gases. There's a gateway explosion. So far, he's getting up to, I believe, 5 gateways. Void Ray has arrived, hunts down another Overlord. He gets one, he gets another. Oh my god. The Overlords, they rally in. They do rally in. Another Overlord goes down. Supply block Shin. Brutal losses, going for even another Overlord. And Classic is going to get it. That's what, 3 Overlords? This Void Ray has 6 kills. And 5 Overlords. That's insane. 5 Overlords go down. Ooh, okay. So, on the one hand, we have a gateway explosion. We're getting up to 6. So, 6 gates here for a Classic, into a Temple Archives, into a Robo. Is taking his gases. So, he is taking up, as we can see, of course, into Storm. And this is going to be an earlier Storm timing. We'll see if Shin can recover. As Storm is being chronoed as we speak. Shin is going into Ling Hydra. This time, no Evo Chamber, no upgrades. Just, yeah, sheer Ling Hydra. Which I'm a little bit less convinced by. Is getting Overlord speed as well. So Shin is staying on a lower drone count. He's staying on a lower drone count. His 4th base is late. We should be seeing another expansion soon if we want to go for a longer game. Otherwise, Shin, he might just send it. And the longer we go in without droning, the more convinced I am that's going to happen. There we go. Now we get an expansion, but this is a late 4th. Shin massing up his army. Side defense on the way. Classic being very, very defensive here. He's just throwing down a wall of cannons. Throws down cannons. He has his High Templar. He did get early Blink, but he's not using it. I assumed, if you remember, with early Blink that he would be active on the map, but he barely has any Stalkers. So instead it was defensive. It does mean that if Shin did go for an all-in earlier on, then Blink would be available for it. But Classic just turtling up. Turtling up completely. Shin, I mean, he's going to try to break him. Shin did not drone. So I do favor Classic, assuming he landed those Storms. Speaking of... Oh, Storm pops up. Very nice Storm. On the Lings. Hydra's moving in, but again, Shin, he sees the wall of cannons. I'm not so sure he can break him.
Our forces are under attack.
Wait, like we need a drone pad. Files they somewhat connect. Ooh, storm on the Ravagers, storm on the Hydras. And storms are popping up. Lings, they commit in. The wall is solid. Lings do not get into the bases. At Tumblr, they rotate. And SHIN, sorry, Classic is defending. And SHIN, he's still not droning. He's still not droning up. SHIN, he's still completely all in. And again, Classic is just really well set up for this. It's very well set up. Storms once again. Oh my god. Storms, they just keep connecting. And SHIN, he's running out of steam. He's falling behind in supply. We have brutal storms. Lings, they get a surround. They finally get on top of the High Temple, but is it too late? The Vials! Oh my god. Vials do connect. Immortals are going down. The fight's getting very chaotic. But alas, Classic has too much. He has far too much. He will hold. He shuts down the army. And SHIN is not ready for a long game. He's not ready for this. He has 0 upgrades. He has less than 3 base saturation. Yeah, GG gets called. GG gets called. There's no future in this game for SHIN. And Classic, he will fight back. We'll put a point on the board. GG. GG, well played. I wonder if these two have a little bit of history here, because Classic, the way that he played was so defensive, was just so totally so safe, so defensive. I didn't see any tells that SHIN was going for the all-in outside of no Eva chamber, and we didn't really get much scouting out of Classic either. It was almost like blindly setting up defensively. It was almost like that after the go base was taken, he was just assuming SHIN was going to go for an all-in, and he assumed correctly, is what I'm getting at. He assumed correctly, so it almost makes it seem like he's played against this style before from SHIN, and he's maybe lost to it before, and, you know, he responds just hyper defensively. SHIN, he played into it, and he... yeah, just kind of played into Classic's hands there. Classic, he was ready for it all in, and SHIN all in. He just committed. Classic could not be broken, and with that, we have a series. We have a back and forth. Let's go. It's not going to be a 4-0 in either direction. We do have a point for Classic, but it's going to be a long road here to recovery, as we're going to be loading into Whispers of Gold. Let's go. Let us go. We go from polar opposites. Abyssal Reef, sorry, with Neon Violet Square, from the largest map in the map pool to the smallest map in the map pool, from Neon Violet Square to Whispers of Gold. Here we go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have our South Korean Protoss player. We have our blue Protoss representing himself, but fighting back. He's up against the wall, though. He still has to fight back here and now to try to force that ace match. The pressure is still on. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. Hello, SHIN. What's going on? As SHIN, he's moving out with a hatch block. He's moving out with a hatch block. This is something that SHIN is quite fond of. The goal here should be to hide the drone, to allow the probe to move out, the scouting probe specifically, and then the drone can move in and throw down the expansion here at the natural of Classic. Now, this is not an all-in, bear this in mind. This is hatch first. There is no pool. There is no spawn pool with this. The hatchery is placed, the expansion is denied, and SHIN should be expanding back at home as well. So this is almost the equivalent of what Classic is doing here, which is pylon blocking. Yeah, there it is. So we have a pylon block out of Classic, we have a hatch block out of SHIN. Now, because that pylon block, SHIN, he is throwing down an earlier gas, an earlier spawning pool. Bear that in mind. So he will have a link speed timing available to him. Classic, he doesn't let the pylon finish. The Overlord does spot this. And SHIN, he needs to expand. Does need to expand. Fighting for his base. Across the map, Classic, he doesn't pull the boys. He's chronoing out the Zealot instead. There's another pylon block. Now, because of these constant pylon blocks, SHIN, he might let this finish. Might just let this finish here. Just to delay even further. SHIN, he's waiting for the cancel. But Classic, he's so persistent. There's the cancel. Oh, can he get it? He can. Whew. Hatchery is taken. Classic, he checks. He looks for an expansion. He's out of position. And SHIN will take the base. Across the map, the hatchery does complete. We have a queen on the way. We have a couple of links as well to be safe. Ooh, queen across the map. That's ambitious. We'll see if it finishes. as SHIN has to get ready for the counterattack. Remember, these are 2 Zealots and soon an Adept as well. So this is going to be a brutal counterattack. Of course, Classic has to wait for the creep to recede. Really say go for the pylon. Do love to see it. Creep is receding. Behind the slings, they shut down the initial scatic probe. Oh, and Classic forced to expand elsewhere. Okay. We have an interesting setup here. We do have more Lings on the way. This is to once again deny the expansion with those eggs. But we're going for a Link Flood. Link speed is all the way. Remember, we had earlier gases. Earlier gases leads into Link speed, leads into that Link speed timing we were talking about. And this base is so exposed. Classic, I don't know if we can defend this, I'll be honest. Adepts are distracted, Zealots are moving in position. Here come those Lings. And we'll see if Classic can survive, if he can defend. Lings, they get past the Zealots, they go for the shield battery. Shield battery's going to be targeted down. Zealots out of position. Zealots, they will hold for now, though. They do hold. Lings, they rotate back around. Going for the pylon instead. Very delicate control here from our players. Link speed does kick in, but the shield battery is done. We rotate over. The surround! Yeah, we get a surround. Zealots, they get completely surrounded. Classic gets called out. Adepts from here. They don't quite get into the natural. Oh my, they do! The wall! The wall's not a wall. Lings, they flood in. Yeah, they flood past. The Adept will fall, and Classic is going to lose everything. He has nothing left. He has no warp gates. He has 1 Adept on the way, but the pylon is going to fall. Massive pickoff. And is this how the series ends? Is this how it all ends here and now? Not like this, with a Link Flood. As we have Lings on both sides, GG gets called, and SHIN, he will take the series 4-1. He will take down Classic and be our LiuLi Cup 34 champion. GG. GG, well played. SHIN, he will claim the series. Again, Classic, just a really awkward kind of game state. I'm a little bit shocked that Classic went for that expansion. I'll be honest, went for the unnatural natural. It is very common in that kind of game state where as a Protoss player, you just wait for the creep to recede and then you just take your natural on location. What surprised me more, I think, is the decision was really late to take that expansion. If you remember, he threw down that Nexus after he had killed the hatchery. Like, the hatchery had already been killed, and then he kind of made that decision to throw down the Nexus. So it was a later Nexus as well. It was a later kind of decision, and it never really came into play, of course. Yeah, it was just a really awkward game state there for Classic. Maybe a little bit flustered because of how the series was progressing. As I mentioned before, there was a lot of pressure on Classic just because of the game state, just because of the series score. But yeah, just in a really, really awkward position there. On top of that, remember, Classic, he also scouted. Remember, he went into the main base and he saw the gas. He saw that it was a proxy hatchery, and he forced, because of the pylon block, the early gas and early pool. So he knew there was a link speed timing as well. Like, there was a lot of information that Classic had already had, but he still went for that base anyway, and we saw what happened, right? He got surrounded, he got shut down. Just a really uncomfortable game for Classic. And GG, well played. There's definitely a world where we could have seen a longer series. Shout out to Classic, by the way. He did play very well, especially, I bring it back to Abyssal Reef, right? Remember, Abyssal Reef, he was ahead for so long. Like, he was playing so well on Abyssal, but it, again, did kind of fall apart towards the end, and SHIN brought it back, and with that, GG. SHIN does take the series. Does take the series in the end. Congratulations. Just quickly catching up on the results here. Quickly catching up, and heading on over. As again, shout out to all the competitors here in the LiuLi Cup. Again, this was an invitational. For those that are curious, there was no qualifier or anything like that. We had 8 amazing players rocking up, and in the end, we had that best of 7 between SHIN and Classic. Again, congratulations to SHIN. A shout out to Classic as well for making it this far. Classic had a very intense series against Gumiho and against Zoun as well. Classic, he fought hard to make it here to these finals, did fall in the end, and SHIN looking quite dominant here in these score lines. Here, though, tonight, I'm still reminded of SHIN vs. Rogue. If you missed it, I recommend it. SHIN vs. Rogue was amazing. It was a beautiful series, just everything that you want out of ZVZ, like mind games, aggression, more mind games, and yeah, it was wild. It's a wild matchup. And congratulations in the end. When it comes to future LiuLi Cups, as I mentioned before, this is an irregular tournament. I don't know when the next one is going to be. I know that the organizers do plan on running more of these, but again, we'll keep you guys notified. Last time, unfortunately, we were able to cast day 1 live, but we weren't able to cover day 2. For the next event, we'll make sure that we're there to cast it live. We'll make sure we clear up our schedule, or that we are able to facilitate for that a little bit better. We'll do our best. We'll do our best. GG. GG, well played. Here we go. I feel like Classic maybe hasn't dealt with hatch blocks too much because he made a lot of late calls there. I think I'm pretty sure he has played against a lot of hatch blocks. I think maybe he hasn't played against specifically the situation where the hatchery finishes, because more often than not, you cancel the hatchery. You're forced to cancel the expansion, and then like the game progresses and you still take your natural base. Because Shin let it finish, like it did delay even further, and yeah, Classic did look very uncomfortable. They look really uncomfortable in that kind of game state. Regardless, GG. GG, well played. And with that, we're wrapping up. With that, we are going to be wrapping up here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this was a 2-day event. If you missed out on day 1, if you want to tune into some of these early rounds, do check out the VODs on YouTube. Again, they're all there. They're all available for you as you please. So check out the VODs. Really fun matches, really fun series. Even Beyond versus Rogue was a dynamic back and forth as well. A lot of really good matches, actually. A lot of really good series. With that, though, we are going to be wrapping up for the time being, and we will be back tomorrow with some more StarCraft. As always, casting StarCraft on a daily basis here. You can see our schedule. We just wrapped up with LiuLi Cup. Tomorrow in how many hours' time? In 12? No, 10. 11. 11 hours. In 11 hours' time, we're going to be live with OSC Season 12 Championship. We're almost done. We're almost wrapping up with OSC, as these last 2 broadcasts on Wednesday and Friday will conclude the finals, the season of the Season 12 Championship, so do look forward to that. We're going to be featuring players like MaxPax, Hero, Clem, Dark, Byun, and many others are facing off in the OC Season 12 Championship, so we're going to be covering that tomorrow morning, again in 11 hours time. Meanwhile, Thursday, we have the Tenacious Turtle Tussle. We do have the return of the Turtle Tussle. It is a bi-weekly tournament, and we weren't able to cover it last week because of server maintenance. It was a little bit unfortunate, but there was maintenance on the European servers last week, so we did decide to reschedule to let the maintenance pass, and then we can bring it back. So that is why there was no Turtle Tussle last week, but it has returned. Likewise, you have the Podcast on Thursday, Amanthus on Friday, the final day of OSC Season 12 Championship on Friday as well, KSL, SCL, and Sparkling Tuna. Let's go. And we should be adding another broadcast onto Sunday. I do have another broadcast in mind, so there is going to be an FSL broadcast brought into play as well this week. So a very busy schedule, very busy. 2 casts a day every single day except for Wednesday. Wednesday we have half a day off, so that's our day of rest in a way, where we just stream Final Fantasy instead over on our personal channel. So if you want to tune into our Final Fantasy broadcast, then you can check us out over on light_VIP. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and there's plenty of content to come, plenty more content to go. And a big shout out as well to I don't want to necessarily dox them, but we did have a new patron today at Wiki. Wiki, he actually subscribed on Twitch earlier, and we have a new patron as well. And I believe, I could be mistaken, I believe with our new patron, I think we've reached our goal. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we did get a new patron in this morning's broadcast for Pigastore Monday, and it depends on whether or not we lose any patrons. Like sometimes a patron, a subscription expires at the end of the month, so we have to recalculate. But if that's not the case, if we currently hold on to all of our patrons, we may have reached our new goal. Let's go. And what does that mean? The current Patreon goal is to boost the prize pool of Sparkling Tuna Cup to pay out top 4. Currently it's top 2, but we might be able to pay out top 4 there as well. And if so, that's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. I know the players are going to be very excited. They're going to be very happy, very content, because now they can actually get some more prize money for making it to the semifinals. So thank you so much to all of our patrons, to all of our supporters on Patreon. Thank you so much. For those that are curious, for those that want to support even further, exclamation mark Patreon in the chat, and you'll get a link to our channel, to our page, where you can support our tournaments that we do run, that we do host. If we do indeed reach that goal, which again we have to update, if we do reach that goal, our next goal is to boost the prize pool for our amateur events, for Sea Duckling Open and Master Swan Open. And if we're able to do that, then we can actually host them on Wikipedia. For those who don't know, Wikipedia, to actually host a tournament on that site, you actually have to have a minimum prize pool, like a prize, like it's like a prize barrier. And right now, our amateur events are under that. So we can boost the prize pool. They can actually get onto Wikipedia on the main space page, and yeah, it'll just be a nice little milestone for us as well. We'll see if we can get there. See if we can boost the prize pool and get there. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Although, oh, God. Speaking of support, thank you so much to OMG Bentley in the chat. Thank you so much, God. Thank you so much for supporting with Twitch Prime. We're a few dollars short at the moment. Okay. I was curious. When it came to like currency conversions. Curious, but we're almost there. So thank you so much. Shout out to Kura for clearing that up. What a cool hoodie already. True, I'm wearing a hoodie for the first time here. For those that are curious, the only reason why is because I had to cover up a little bit because my nephew's visiting. My nephew was visiting, so I felt the need to put on some clothes to cover up for the youth, for the younger generation. Let's go. He's like 2 years old. Yeah, it's okay. Next time I'll have less clothes on. Don't worry. Oh no. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Thank you so much for the support. Again, our next broadcast, we cast again on a daily basis, every single day, multiple times a day as well. So check out our next broadcast. If you want to support us, you can follow us on all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon, YouTube, Discord, whatever platform you prefer. You can find us on the CranKy Ducklings. And again, we do post whenever we go live, and we upload VODs on a daily basis to YouTube. We have plenty of VODs on YouTube. If you see something that you like here that you cannot watch live because of your time zone, then check out the VODs on YouTube, because we have everything there in one place. There we go. I know what I said, Steel Mode. I know what I said. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. This was Sports, and we'll see you guys next time. Whether it's for OSC, whether it's for the Turtle Tussle, whether it's for the podcast, we'll see you guys on the next broadcast here on the CranKy Ducklings. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Congratulations to Shin. Shout out to Classic. And we'll see you guys next time on the CranKy Ducklings. See you then. Hasta luego. Ciao. Bye. Ciao. Hasta luego. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support.